Piklopedia! This is Pokeball35, and welcome back to more Pikmin 4. This is the start of stream number 9, and what will pretty much be the entirety of episode, I believe 33 or 32. I can't remember what I have done. It should be, I believe, 32. This is all being streamed live at twitch.tv/Pokeball35, link in the description down below. If you're not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do so, because I do have a lot to offer, including this full playthrough of Pikmin 4. My save file now says day 51, because doing anything, I just went to check something in the Sage Trials cave, and then literally doing nothing and then leaving, kills the entire day. And also, this is my new personal play file, or play session file thing that I'm doing in handheld mode, and I'm almost 4 hours in, and I'm doing good. Dwight is the save file I am using. I am sharing this game with my mom, and I had shared Pikmin 1 through 3 with her before 4 came out, and she randomly, I was like, hey, who do you want to make? I let her make the character, and I said, what do you want to name him? And she just said Dwight. So that's his name. I don't think I know anyone named Dwight. She doesn't know anyone named Dwight. She just said Dwight, and that's the name of the file. But this entire video is going to be dedicated to reading all of Olimar and Louie's brand new notes for the Piklopedia and Treasure Hoard. I did not get to do that last time. For anyone who has no interest in reading the rest of the Piklopedia and Treasure Collection, or has already read it all and wants to see my reaction to it, this entire video is for you. Pretty much nothing else is going to happen in this entire stream or video. If I do have time, there will be a bonus episode of Pikmin 4 that will be getting platinums on the rest of the Sage Trials, because I still have 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, and 10 to all do again, so that'll be happening eventually. I kind of wanted to start with, I don't know what I want to start with first. I'm actually going to flip a coin. We're going to go to coin flip. Heads, I do Treasure Collection. Tails, I do Piklopedia. It is Tails. We're doing the Piklopedia first. I didn't really know where to begin, so that's how we're gonna begin. So at least the Piklopedia is not gonna be as long. So when I say new notes, this means that I will be reading everything that is new. To my understanding, what this game does is that it imports a lot of the notes from Pikmin 2 about some of these creatures, because I did this during the main playthrough. I looked at Olimar's notes for Dwarf Bulborb, and I actually have the... Here, Dwarf Bulborb. I have the Pikmin Wiki Piklopedia thing up, so it literally says, word for word, although initially identified as a juvenile red Bulborb, groundbreaking, new research indicates that this creature is in fact a member of the breadbug family, and it goes pretty much the exact same thing. And I'm going to assume Louie's is the same as well. There might be some of these that may be different. I'm not entirely sure, because I have... when we get to Emperor Bulblax, I have Olimar's Emperor Bulblax Pikmin 2 entry up, and I'll take a look at that. But without further ado, let's get started. Also, this is not going to be sped up during the main playthrough when I was reading all of the notes for, Dalmo, or whoever this guy's name is. Yeah, Dalmo. And then the other guy for the Treasure Collection. I sped all of that up for the sake of the pacing of the video, so that it wouldn't just be so much reading for like 30 minutes and then gameplay. This entire video is dedicated to all of this, and it's not going to be sped up. So, Albino dwarf bulborb. A bulborb larva, after its first molt. Due to its pale coloration, it was assumed to be a mimic when it was first discovered. It was later confirmed to be a true dwarf bulborb. To avoid predation from adult bulborbs, it spends the majority of its daytime hours hiding underground. It becomes more active at night, when its paler coloration is more difficult to see. In this state, it is difficult to discern what species of bulborb any given juvenile may be by appearance alone. It's only after a bulborb's second molt that they start to display more distinguishing species characteristics. So we have no idea if these are reds or oranges or like whipped tongues even. And then Louie's notes is all how to cook them. So peel off the skin, starting at the tail end. Then slice thinly and boil in a pot of heavily salted water. Serve immediately. So cool. So I'm going to assume Bulborb is the same. I have read Jumbo Bulborb Olimar entry in the main playthrough because chat told me to, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to read it again. During reproduction, after an egg is fertilized by a sperm, any excess chromosomes are usually discarded through a process called meiosis. But occasionally, this process fails to occur, and a bulborb individually will develop irregularly due to this chromosomal abnormality. Specimens like this one are stronger than the average bulborb and can exhibit more aggressive behavior. However, they are not able to procreate, as they will never reach sexual maturity. It's a large creature, but the meat is tender and flavorful. It's impossible to eat in one sitting, so store some portions for later. Coat the fattier meat in cooking oil and freeze. Leaner cuts should be smoked. All of these should be the same. I am gonna cross-examine real quick. I'm gonna click Spotty Bulbear, and I'm gonna go to the wiki here. It should be in the S's. Spotty Bulbear. Mid-sized subspecies of the grub dog family. The Spotty Bulbear's unique feeding habits. Yep, everything is the same from Pikmin 2. So, no need to worry about that. If you want to see any of this stuff, you could read it for yourself or play Pikmin 2. I'm reading everything that is new. Dwarf Frosty Bulborb. Much like more mature specimens of the juvenile Frosty, the juvenile Frosty Bulborb is able to create and carry ice on an epidermis that promotes extracellular freezing. However, they take an entire night to regenerate their ice, which is why they're often accompanied by adults. Juveniles display a smaller number of spots than adults, causing some to believe that this was actually a species of mimicking breadbug. However, the results of further analysis proved this was not the case. Also, if you are having this somehow be the first video you've ever seen of me because you want to see all the Piklopedia entries, sometimes I'm a little bit dyslexic and stumble over words. Oops. A sweet and savory meat that pairs well with a simple green salad. Thanks, Louie. Frosty Bulborb. A bulborb with large amounts of ice and frost covering its midsection. It's unusual to find ice such as this attached to a living organism, as it's cold enough to freeze small animals and regenerates any ice mass that gets broken off. This bulborb species... Is that a typo? Species? Usually if there's an S, there's not supposed to be like an apostrophe S on an S word. That doesn't look right, Olimar. This bulborb species, intercellular stores of sugars, amino acids, and organic acids provided with a plant-like resistance to freezing, making it possible for the bulborb to touch the ice without freezing itself. Sear the rich and fatty meat on both sides in a dab of butter, and sprinkle generously with fresh thyme. For those who prefer leaner cuts, I recommend the tip of the nose. Technically, Whip-Tongue Bulborb had an entry in Pikmin 3 Deluxe. I want to cross-examine that as well. Pikmin 3 Deluxe Olimar notes. That's not it. Pikmin 3 Deluxe, Olimar notes, Piklopedia. It's probably the same, but I just want to make absolutely sure. If this is even on the wiki here. Comments. Here we go. Olimar's notes. See Olimar's notes. I think this is combining everything. So it would be in W. No, it's not. It's sending me to Pikmin 2s. Well, it's not on the wiki from what I'm seeing, so I'm just not even gonna bother. I'll just quickly show it on screen just in case, and you can pause the video and read that. Bulbar Larva, Empress Bulblax, Emperor Bulblax. I'm cross-examining Emperor Bulblax, just in case. Largest member of the Grubdog family. Just making sure. Yes, alright, that is all the same. However, Sovereign Bulblax is technically a different species. So, an Emperor Bulblax of extremely advanced age. It will no longer display the pack behavior commonly exhibited by younger members of the species. Instead, as an individual ages, it leaves the herd and exhibits more solidarity behaviors. It feeds by using its strongly developed legs to leap upon and crush its prey with speed disproportionate to its massive body. To determine the age of any given specimen, you can count the rings of hide calcified in the form of its carapace. Like a tree? You read it like a tree? One ring forms roughly every year. Each year the creature lives. Individuals with over 100 age rings have been discovered so far. Individuals with over 100 age rings have been discovered so far. The Sovereign Bulblax's back is often covered in moss. And, words. Trilobites. On a few occasions, specimens have been found with a rare species of mushroom, called a borbol. Borbol. That's not a real word. I'm gonna look that up. I would say text-to-speech, because I wanna see if I can hear this. This isn't gonna work the way I want it to, I don't think.
Thank you for using free TTS. Sign.
Alright, nope, whatever. It's whatever that's called. Growing on its back. For a light appetizer, pluck the ferns off its back and lightly cook to remove any astringent flavor. The tongue, eyes, lips, meat, and fat are very tasty and can be prepared in a variety of ways. Mature specimens have more highly developed umami flavor. It tastes like umami? Sure. Fiery and watery should be the same, however, snowy blowhog is new. This species has the ability to condense atmospheric carbon dioxide within an organ called a cold sac. The cold sac creates dry ice, and its vapors are then expelled as icy breath. A close relative to this species, the fiery blowhog can keep its internal body temperature from rising because of phosphoric compounds it expels, only ignite when they make contact with air. In contrast, the snowy blowhog maintains internal body conditions below freezing, and its other internal organs are protected by thick layers of fat and the extracellular freezing that occurs within its cold sac. Sprinkle lightly with salt and eat while the ice bag is still fresh and crunchy. Just one bite will give you the most satisfying brain freeze. A Titan blowhog. Due to hormone abnormality, this fiery blowhog specimen has grown to an irregularly giant size. As a result, its mouth and the organs that regulate its fire-breathing abilities are significantly larger, so the firepower of the specimen greatly exceeds that of its normal counterpart. The fire it produces is actually so strong that the stress it places on the creature's internal organs is magnified, thus reducing its overall lifespan. This specimen is also unable to reproduce. Sad. Creature too large to easily carve. Bigger is not better in this case. Blizzarding Blowhog. This specimen is actually a snowy blowhog, lethal expeller of icy air. However, it's grown to a gigantic size thanks to an endocrine abnormality. Unlike the Titan Blowhog, this condition does not sentence the Blizzarding Blowhog with a shorter lifespan. In fact, its lifespan is actually much longer than that of the average snowy blowhog. The organs that produce the dry ice are also enlarged in this specimen, perhaps in order to make production more efficient. Scrape the interior of its elongated nose with a spoon for a quick dessert of meaty shaved ice. Add a drizzle of sashimi-grade soy sauce to take it up a notch. And I wonder what Louie's going to say about the soy sauce bottles later on. Tusked Blowhog. Similar to an ancestor species of the fiery blowhog, this creature has a pair of sharp tusks that it uses to charge enemies with vigorous violence. It demonstrates its aggressive nature when it pursues its prey when it's attacked by a predator of its own. In the case of the latter, the tusked blowhog will attack its attacker, causing them to balk while it can dash away to safety. This species also has an extremely sharp sense of smell, which it uses to detect the pheromone-like scent of its favorite food, underground mushrooms. Stew with root veggies, wild greens, and a bit of miso for a mouth-watering rustic flavor. Drain all the blood beforehand to avoid that gammy smell. Is gammy a word?
Gamey.
Gamey. Having a strong flavor or smell of game. Especially, when it is slightly tainted. What is the meaning of gamey? Alright, fair enough. Armored Cannon Larva should have an entry in Pikmin 3. However, Horned Cannon Beetle is new. Males of this species are known for their horn-like blowholes. When females reach maturity, their blowhole closes and they lose the ability to launch rocks. At the start of breeding season, the females lay eggs on rocks launched by the male. The rocks then become food for growing larvae. Though once mistaken for adult armored cannon beetles, this species is actually a naturalized non-native species that migrated here from another continent. The horned cannon beetle can breed with adult armored cannon beetles, but only about half the eggs will actually hatch. This hybrid species has the potential to seriously pollute the gene pool. Furthermore, it exhibits aggressive territorial behavior, sometimes launching boulders at young armored cannon beetles, which has driven the latter species to the verge of extinction. So, they actually explain why this is not an armored cannon beetle, even though it looks and acts the same way. Very interesting. Drop into boiling water and let it cook until the shell turns red. Remove from the pot and peel. Sprinkle the drained meat with rock salt. Arctic Cannon Larva, I feel like, should also have an entry in Pikmin 3, because that's also a Pikmin 3 enemy, but Arctic Cannon Beetle is new. Upon reaching maturity, the blowhole on its head closes, leaving in its place the pointed crest of the Arctic Cannon Beetle's shell. In order to get enough food in nutrient-deficient environments, adult specimens start breathing through their mouths. Some experts have posted that this adaptation caused the species to lose territorial competitions with the armored cannon larva, driving it into colder environments. Though this beetle has increased suction strength, it must ventilate via a spiracle on its abdomen and open its shell to avoid rapid body inflation. Boil the meaty legs until fully cooked, then drizzle with a generous amount of lemon juice. Once the juice has seeped its way into the muscle fibers, suck the meat out of the shell with one big slurp. Mama sheargrub will be new. The mama sheargrub will typically molt when it reaches maturity, then dig itself into the ground to prepare for egg laying. However, certain types of like this specimen exhibit neoteny and retain the appearance of a juvenile of the species. If this species locates an abundant food source, they won't leave it. Sometimes they will stay at the spot for years, steadily growing to gigantic proportions, like this one. Though this specimen has the look of a juvenile, it has fully developed reproductive abilities and can achieve impressively high birth rates. Its offspring, however, are the same size as a typical sheargrub. Best enjoyed when big and round. Same. And full of eggs. Same for some people. Salts lightly, then grill. The squishy, sticky mouthfeel will have you coming back for more. Alright, I'm done here. Shear flea. The sensory hairs growing on this creature's orange body segments can detect body temperatures, movement, and carbon dioxide levels. It clings to its prey with its claw-like front legs and sucks their blood through its pointed proboscis. Research has found that the shear flea can store eggs created... I'm thinking about eggs now. Shear flea can store energy created contracting its bellowing-like body in the elastic proteins located at the roots of its hind legs, allowing it to repeatedly jump very high. Its reproductive rates are rather explosive. A small group of egg-laying females can boom into a population of over 100 in a month's time. Salty, sour, and sometimes sweet. Sour Patch Kids. The flavor changes depending on which living creature it's fed from most recently. These two should be from Pikmin 3. These are all from Pikmin 2, Pikmin 3. All the Dweevil should be the same. Hydro Dweevil is technically the Caustic Dweevil, but I just want to cross-examinate, just in case. Olimar's notes on the Hydro Dweevil. They renamed Caustic Dweevil to Hydro Dweevil in this entry. And... yeah, it's just renamed. So, this is all the same. However, Ice-Blown Dweevil is new. Dweevils have varying body colors in response to their feeding habits. Each species feeds on different types of plants and small animals. So the symbiotic bacteria that creates their pigmentation differ as well. The ice-blown dweevil lives in cold habitats and spews frigid gas, so the workings of its symbiotic bacteria are dulled and it retains its natural color, which is white. It's been confirmed that more temperate climates where food that the fiery dweevil eats is readily available. The ice-blown dweevil's coloration is much peachier. Soak the legs in fruit juice and freeze. Serve as a refreshing ice pop. Yay, ice-blown dweevil ice pops. I'm also curious if the venom dweevil is the same as the munge dweevil. So I'm gonna open that up. Wrong thing. Munge dweevil is one member of the insect family known for mimicking objects. Venom dweevil is one member of the dweevil family known for mimicking objects and carrying on their backs. Yes, so, confirmed the Venom dweevil is the Munge dweevil. It is just renamed and recolored for this game. It has the exact same Piklopedia entry as Pikmin 2, just renamed. Very weird. That should be from Pikmin 3, should be from Pikmin 3. I'm going to assume the Man-at Legs is from Pikmin 2. Yeah, that sounds familiar. Groovy Longlegs. This species has some remaining organic internal organs, but its carapace and eyes are all made up of inorganic material. All 19 of its eyes are actually photoelectric sensors that the species uses to precisely locate its prey. The gas emitted from the posterior of the first leg joints include a chemical substance that, after making contact with another organism's brain, temporarily controls that organism's actions. The groovy Longlegs uses this natural phenomenon called the endless dance to make its prey jump between its legs while it moves around in bizarre rhythms. The entire interaction is seemingly odd for a living organism, but the line between organic and inorganic on this planet is not always clear. Would have been so cool to have instead of BD for the last night expedition. Yes, it would have. The lack of beady Longlegs is weird. They might just not have beady Longlegs anymore, even though technically beady Longlegs and baldy Longlegs can be fought in different ways, because you need yellows specifically for beady Longlegs, but you could use any Pikmin for baldy Longlegs, because they're not covered in wax. This creature is mostly tendon, so it often gets stuck in your teeth. Smells like burnt plastic, or possibly metal. A node beetle, iridescent flint beetle, doodlebug, iridescent glint beetle, Mitite, Scutterchuck, cedar skate should all be from different games. However, mucker skate is new. A subspecies of the skeeter skate that's adapted to life in muddy wetlands. It uses its straw-like proboscis, inside of which is packed with densely grown hair, to capture any plankton living in the mucky water and filter out everything else. When an enemy approaches, it will threaten them by shooting out a murky substance. This combination of muddy water and gastric juices has a higher viscosity, so it can essentially bury Pikmin. I noticed that when playing. I was confused by that. But yeah, it shoots the Pikmin into the ground. Weird. And a lot of other stuff in dirt. Even after draining the mud, its texture remains gritty. Chew it for long enough and your teeth will get a good scrubbing. I should also say, for anyone interested in seeing Olimar's and Louie's notes for Pikmin 3 Deluxe, when I played Pikmin 3 Deluxe Ultra Spicy when Pikmin 3 Deluxe came out, I did an entire video of reading all of Olimar and Louie's new notes for that game. So go check out that video too. All the Spectralids... I'm actually curious, because all the Spectralids are grouped together in Pikmin 2. I think all the Spectralids are different in Pikmin 3, so I think this would use its Pikmin 3 notes. But Snowflake, Fluttertail. The cooling cycle in its body uses ammonia as a refrigerant to chill the moisture it absorbs from the air until it reaches a supercooled state. By spraying it out of several vents in its belly, the Snowflake Fluttertail creates a delicate cocoon out of ice, both to protect itself and freeze its prey. Its rolled up, spirally proboscis evolved from an upper jaw, and it can catch and tie up prey with fine hairs on its surface. Though it mimics a type of snowtail butterfly. Calling it a butterfly? That's weird. This creature is actually more closely related to moths. One might extrapolate that this ancient ancestor was unable to adapt to the cooling climate and therefore went extinct. Dice finally, or prune, or purr? Is that a typo? What is that word? It's supposed to be puree, but there's no accent mark on the second E, or the first E, rather. So that technically is a typo. It's supposed to be puree, but there's no accent mark. Very cool. Dice finely or puree to make a meaty sorbet. Add a tiny drizzle of fruit sauce for some punch. Pluck the wings and antenna beforehand to use as a garnish if you want to get fancy. Creeping Chrysanthemum, even though it's a different Creeping Chrysanthemum, I'm going to assume it's the same. But you can never know. Creeping Chrysanthemum. It is the exact same, just a different design. However, a Startle Spore is different. The defining characteristics of the fungi that grow from its head differ from that of the Chrysanthemum family's Creeping Chrysanthemum, but makeup of the body out of which they grow is mostly the same. As a result, we can theorize that the fellow Ember like the Bulbmin jump scare, they're real? Bulbmin is in Pikmin 4? Bulbmin in Pikmin 4 real? This species is not an evolutionary variation, but that the body is a parasite that has nestled inside a group of mushrooms. Because the hosts are mushrooms, the startle spore cannot photosynthesize. Instead, it gains nutrients by casting its prey with highly poisonous fluids, or by absorbing the nectar in the ground left behind as creatures killed by its poison decompose. If you can successfully remove the tongue's poison glands, you'll enjoy a rare opportunity to appreciate the umami synergy of the mushroom and meat combo. This is very interesting that they mentioned Bulbmin in this game, because this means in this universe, this new Pikmin universe that they have decided to create for this game, that Bulbmin still exists, but that's very stupid because the engulfed castle is a near one-to-one recreation of the submerged castle, and on sublevel 2, where the Bulbmin would normally be found, there is a red Bulborb and, like, 4, like, albino Bulborbs or something like that right next to it to simulate the Bulbmin on that floor. But they didn't put Bulbmin in the game as an actual thing. Instead, we have Glow Pikmin. That's weird. I'm going to assume Breadbug and Giant Breadbug are the same. So we have Guildmandwee. Immediately after hatching, this species presents itself in a gill tadpole-like form, and grows its legs after about a week. That's actually really funny, because with the Pikmin Minecraft resource pack I recently checked out, these guys were replaced, or like turtles. These are retextures of turtles in that game. So it's like kind of similar, but not really. This juvenile Guildmander specimen is estimated to be about 1 month old due to the presence of an ore-like growth on its back and the fact that it has already emerged onto land. The living ore has substances similar to treasure within it, a peculiar scent, and has an effect on both sensors and Pikmin. However, the lantern organ on its head is still underdeveloped and can only emit very faint electromagnetic waves. For this reason, juvenile Guildmanders often hide out of sight to avoid Pikmin attacks. Heat the golden crystals on its back until they melt into a caramel sauce. Flip the creature upside down and bake until the skin develops a crunchy, candied crust. Guildmander. The ore-like growth on its back is a coagulated body fluid that includes a substance similar to sparklium, which can make our mechanical sensors go berserk, to use the technical term. This living ore emits a scent that lures the creature's prey, so it's also important for their feeding process. The lantern-like organ atop its head emits electromagnetic waves that are known to affect Pikmin and onions, confusing them into thinking the Guildmander is their leader, allowing it to withdraw Pikmin directly from the onion. However, it cannot go as far as to command them as a squad, so the Pikmin will often hide under cover and are unable to avoid ingestion. An actual explanation as to what goes on with this thing and why it's like the way it is in the Olimar crash landing story. That's very good. The meat gives off a faint aroma similar to a hot pepper. The flavor itself is subtle and elegant. Char grill the lantern until blackened, and you've got a nutritional superfood. Miniature Snoot Whacker. Immediately after birth, this species' skin starts to harden, and before long it will reach the same impenetrable toughness as that of an adult. Adult snoot whackers dexterously use their trunks to grab food from high tree branches, but juveniles consume fruits and nuts that have fallen to the ground, as well as other types of terrestrial flora. This specimen's legs and torso muscles are underdeveloped compared to those in their nose, so they lack the strength to maintain their posture and easily lose their balance. Gently peel the skin back from the nose, and its meat has a grassy bitterness. Tastes like cucumber. Mammoth Snoot Whacker. The nose on this specimen has neither bone nor cartilage, but is made of entirely of muscle and can be flexibly curved and extended. Its tough hide consists of densely layered collagen lattices that cover almost its entire body, leaving only the regular skin on its belly exposed. The fully developed trunk is large and quite heavy, so the mammoth snoot whacker usually rolls inward to carry it closer to its center of gravity. But if its territory is invaded, it will extend the trunk and flail it around, even using it to strike a perceived enemy. Just like the juvenile snoot whacker, their nose comprises a disproportional amount of their body weight, resulting in poor balance. If attacked from behind or from the side, even an adult of this species can easily be knocked over. The bitter flavor fades as they grow, replaced by a sweet, mellow aroma. Sew the base of the trunk, grill the middle, or smoke the tip. The possibilities are endless. Sun Squish. I just wanted to look at it. A type of primitive organism called a photochorite. It's a juvenile. In its juvenile state, it has a skeleton-like structure called a notochord. It flaps its finned tail to move and lives with other creatures' eggs as it grows. As its body develops, it starts to exhibit mollusk-like qualities, but its highly exposed external stomach can directly digest prey on contact and can also be used for locomotion. Seasoned with salt and pepper. It's an egg, so yeah. The Fulix. A member of the Culex family, this primitive... Here, I want to do this, actually, just so you can see it. There we go. A member of the Culex family, this primitive life form is made up of a single cell, which is quite odd given its size. Its nucleus is shaped like a bulbous star, and individuals move by using the fin at the end of its flagellum-like tail to quickly expand and contract its gelatinous body. If the nucleus is removed, its soft body loses all structure and splatters. But as long as the nucleus is still alive, the Fulix can return to its original form. Usually, the Fulix will mimic nectar as it waits for prey. Its gel, which includes fire-extinguishing fluids, will then expand to capture and feed on unsuspecting organisms. Gently remove the jellied parts, add fruit and a sweetener of your choice, then serve as a gelatin dessert. Downy Snagret. Due to common phenomena known as imprinting, this baby will recognize anything that it sees or hears in its given length of time after it hatches as its parent, and consequentially follows it around. However, the Downy Snagret has two specific conditions for imprinting. The first is that the target must be tall and blue, and the second is related to the sound of its cry. This means that it will never make a mistake with something that as small as we are, and will instead recognize it or us as food. Since it is a fledgling, the Downy Snagret does not go underground to feed. Instead, it stays on the surface, where there is plenty of food. It looks harmless enough, but beware, its parents may be hiding nearby until the baby is old enough to fend for itself. Grind up the meat and cartilage, then mold into meatballs. The tender texture of the meat contrasts nicely with the crunchy, chewy cartilage bits. Thank you for Downy Snagret meatballs. I just want to look at you. Burrowing Snarrow. When are we ever gonna get to see the Burrowing Snarrow? Outside of Pikmin 2 mods. Which is not canon because it's a mod. Where's the Burrowing Snarrow? Bottle Quaff. Its overdeveloped respiratory muscles allow it to suck in large volumes of air through its long, thick beak while feeding. Its feathers are too small to use for flying. The current theory is that this is due to its niche position in the ecosystem, being quite secure thanks to the lack of natural predators and little competition for food in its habitat. However, with the expansion of Pikmin territory recently, the numbers have been gradually declining. Breasts, thighs, and wing can be baked, roasted, or fried. The rest of the carcass is great for flavoring a rich soup stock. Louie says breast. Scorch cake. Related to bivalves, it uses its internal muscles to dexterously manipulate its upper and lower shells. This ability allows it to squash eggs and small ambrosidices like Pikmin, thus returning nectar to the ground. It then feeds off the microorganisms and moss that benefits from the nectar. To further facilitate the growth of its food, the scorch cake will secrete oils from its body through its shell and onto the ground. It then sets that area on fire, perhaps as a way to improve the soil fertility. Remove the internal meat and place directly on the shell while it's still smoldering to cook. It almost smells better than it tastes. Shock cake. This species has a muscular organs that can create electricity by using ion gradients with densely layered rows of electricity-generating cells, which are arranged in an asymmetrical series. It uses its plug-like protrusions to instantly shock its prey, and then squashes it. The squashed prey acts as fertilizer, improving the quality of the soil so that the microorganisms and moss that the shock cake feeds on can thrive. Sauté. See, there's an accent mark on sauté here. Sauté in butter and cover with a sauce made from green liver paste. Anyone with a highly developed palate will enjoy a slightly bitter flavor profile. Freeze cake. By emitting frigid air from one side of its shell, it can freeze and squash any prey that approaches too closely. Food can be hard to find in extremely cold climates, so one theory is that this species has developed some kind of a mechanism that allows it to store its prey for long periods of time. Sure. I was expecting more, and then nope, that's it. The meat under the icy side of the shell is quite muscular, while the other side is nice and fatty. Two great tastes in one. Puff stool. Since this is only in Pikmin 1, there was never any Piklopedia entries for this. So, a type of amblofungus. The current working theory is that the puff stool evolved from a more common species of fungus that gained animal-like characteristics over time, including the ability to walk. When it senses danger, it will scatter spores from under its cap, releasing a hallucinogen that confuses its attackers. The hallucinogenic compound in the spores is only effective against this species' natural enemies, the Pikmin, causing them to mistake it for their leader. Pikmin who fall into this trap are then used as workers to maintain nutrition or defenses for the puff stool. Rip Puffman. Flip upside down and cook cap over a charcoal grill, low and slow. Once it starts to sweat, it's ready to eat. Toadstool. Much like the puff stool, the toadstool is neither an animal nor fungus, but a mix of the two, or an amblofungus. It doesn't serve as a producer or consumer role in the ecosystem, but functions instead as a decomposer. It primarily parasitizes other living organisms by blanketing them with its spores. However, the toadstool can infect a deceased specimen as well. Its hyphae is able to move the muscles and control the body, as if bringing it back from the dead. So that's what we saw in Cavern for a King. It was like bringing them back to life as zombies. That was cool. And the way the fungal filaments grow differs based on the host organism. In some cases, they may cause the hosts to wander around in search of food to facilitate more nutrient-rich fungal culture medium. They can also just use the host as a means to scatter more spores. Bury underground for about 40 days so the poison can leach out. Its smell will make you gag, but the flavor has notes of chocolate. Okay. Moldy dwarf bulborb is an example of a young bulborb body that has been infected by fungal filaments. Now a host unconsciously continues to seek out and ingest food, all the while scattering large amounts of spores out from the spore sacs on its back until it can no longer move. After all host body activity ceases, the specimen mutates into a fungal creature that will eventually become a juvenile toadstool. This thing becomes toadstools. That's weird. Tastes best if eaten just before the meat spoils. Once all the mold has been removed, enjoy a unique flavor reminiscent of dry aged meat. Moldy Slooch. Both the nervous system and slime-producing organ of the specimen have been invaded by fungal filaments, which is why it scatters spores as it moves. It will also shake spores onto other creatures, thus infecting new hosts and expanding the toxel's habitat and range. Once the host body ceases to function, it can no longer serve as a fungal creature medium because its bodily fluids dry up as the corpus shrinks. At that point, the host body is abandoned. After removing the poison, the broth is fragrant and savory. Don't drink too much, or you'll find yourself with crippling tummy ache. Pyrocosmic Suture from Pikmin 3, Bearded Ampharat Pikmin 3, Mamuda, which will be from Pikmin 2, Porquilin. Its needle-covered armor is soft and quite exposed. Furthermore, it has a cowardly disposition, so when it senses even the slightest danger, it shoots out spikes. Generating new spikes requires significant amounts of caloric energy, so this creature requires significant amounts of food. This likely explains why, when it scrounges through garbage, it sucks up not just the insects it finds, but also the trash itself. They have ingested a few of the Essus Dolphin's parts, too, but those could never be mistaken for trash. Cut the meat into 4 even slices, dip slices into a beaten egg, then dredge in breadcrumbs, fry over low heat. Honeywisp, Puffy Blowhog, Icy Blowhog. This creature possesses 3 lungs, an air sac used as its primary respiratory organ, a flotation bladder that gives it buoyancy, and a cold sac that stores cold air. Like the Puffy Blowhog, its buoyancy is a result of hydrogen produced by electrolysis. Its icy breath is condensed carbon dioxide, much like the snowy blowhog. Different species within the blowhog family have many features in common when you look closely at the structure and characteristics of its internal organs. Has the consistency of candy-coated chewing gum and leaves a refreshing, methylated aftertaste. Withering Blowhog from Pikmin 2, Lesser Spotted Jellyfloat, Greater Spotted Jellyfloat, Walpole, Yellow Wallyhop, Chili Hop. When squashing prey with its mighty leap, the Chili Hop secretes a bodily fluid made up of ammonium nitrate, urea, and water. This causes an endothermic reaction that rapidly freezes its prey, making its attacks all the more lethal. I don't even know if this thing ever killed any Pikmin in my playthrough, so I didn't even really see what it did. I actually almost forgot this enemy was in the game, because it appears in one cave. After squashing the prey, it gets sucked up through the Chili Hop's belly, since this species can store its food in a slightly chilled state without eating it for a time. It easily adapts to environments where prey is scarce. Remove the tender meat surrounding the eyes and stew with soy sauce. The collagen fibers are simply a melt-in-your-mouth delicious. I just had a thought about another creature that's in this Piklopedia that we'll get to very shortly, and I'm kind of concerned about what Louie's notes are going to be for it. Master Hop. It's widely believed that the yellow wallyhops and other related species can continue to grow until they start breeding, but after that their growth rate plummets, period. However, in safe environments, ones that lack natural predators, for example, some individuals of the species may forego reproduction altogether and continue growing until they reach gigantic proportions. The yellow wallyhops' telomerase enzymes are particularly active, which prevents their body cells from aging. Under the right conditions, it's not unusual for some individuals to reach over 50 years in age. Meat can be consumed if dehydrated with a lot of salt, but the eyeballs and legs are the best parts. Water Dumple, Pluckering Blino from Pikmin 3, Bricklepuff. Its hidden spikes evolved from scales that were once on its forehead. The Prickle Puff uses it to charge and chase off unknown creatures that enter its territory. Its liver and ovaries contain powerful nerve toxins accumulated from ingesting shellfish and algae with trace amounts of poison. These toxins not only function as alternative pheromones, but also seem to keep predators at bay. However, once it's dead, the Pikmin have no issue carrying this creature back to the onion, where the poison is broken down into valuable nutrients. Remove the poisonous internal organs, then slice thinly and serve as sashimi. The firm meat is brimming with umami flavor, pairs well with a light, refreshing citrus vinaigrette. There's a lot of enemies in this game that apparently taste like umami. Why is that? Just like the writers for these notes really liked umami? Waddle Plus from Pikmin 3. Aristocrab offspring is technically a different thing. A juvenile peckish aristocrab, small in size, its right pincer is only half grown. Because of this, it often hunts by hiding underground and lying in wait to ambush its prey. Generally, crabs pass through the larval stages Zoe and Megalapa, as they approach juvenile crabhood. Instead, the peckish aristocrab is born with a body shaped like an onion, absorbing its nutrition through the ground and sprouting legs as it grows. Perhaps it is a close relative species of the Embrulacula class. Aristocrab should be from Pikmin 3. So there you go, Grubchucker. Actually, wait. I didn't read Louie's notes. I almost forgot. Throw a mountain of Aristocrab offspring into a pot for a yummy and simple miso soup broth. There we go. This bipedal creature walks upright, so its motion is notably slow, but the long reach of its pincers is useful for catching prey and tossing it into the wide mouth on top of its head. When young, its mouth stays closed, and the grubchucker lives on things like shellfish, nuts, and fruit, eating using the small trophy located behind the feelers below its eyes. As it grows, its syntypal mouth opens and can start eating larger quantities of food. It has a few natural enemies, primarily due to its height. However, it is often found in dimmer wetlands or underground to protect the soft top of its shell from the sun's rays. Pluck off the lips and serve with lemon and salt as an appetizer. Coat the arms and legs with plenty of miso for a full-course dinner in a shell. Crawmad, bug-eyed crawmad, crusted rumpump. Its body is covered in a hard carapace, and it has an extremely ferocious personality. It spreads its sharp, fanged jaws to catch its prey. The crusted rumpump suffers from poor vision, but it uses the fine hairs on its lower part of its tail and the ball-shaped sensory organ at the tip to detect faint electrostatic fields emitted from other organisms. In short, it has other ways to sense its predators and prey. The tip of the tail tastes almost fruity, with notes of sweet and sour. Pairs well with soft, ripened cheeses. Pearly Clam Clamp. Since it was picked from Pikmin 1, it doesn't have a full thing. Almost what? What? What's the problem? Using the pearl that takes shape inside its body as bait, this creature lures prey into its interior and traps it within its shell to feed. It's also worth noting that this pearl may just be an amalgamation of outside materials wrapped in a viscous gelatin exterior. The tip of the tail tastes like what? Fruity. Shut up. On the frequent occasions when it cannot gather food for itself, this creature can also obtain nutrients when the symbiotic algae within its body photosynthesizes. For this reason, it can often be found with its mouth open on shoals or sandy beaches that get a lot of sunshine. Heat in the shell over a strong fire to bring out the umami-rich juices. He loves umami, dude. Finally, mince the mantle and toss with noodles. Top with sesame seeds. Toady Blaster, but Balloon Cap Blaster. The origin species from which the Raging and Toady Blaster evolved. It still carries a large shell on its back. The exposed head and legs are covered in a layer of tough muscle, so it barely moves when attacked. On the other hand, it has an extremely sensitive flower-like gills that are characteristic of the mollusking family. When the gills are touched, the Blaster cannot breathe and must open its shell, exposing a soft body. Amphibious with a gentle demeanor, it simply swallows up anything that happens to enter its field of vision. Kind of like a living vacuum cleaner. The fatty muscle that controls those undulating motions must be eaten fresh. All that quick movement means the meat toughness toughens quickly. Also, this is saying... This is the original... I think he's saying this is the original Blaster, because this thing then evolved to then become a Toady Blaster and or Raging Blaster, is what I'm getting from that. Bog Swallow. This species prefers to inhabit cloudy, stagnant water like that in swamps, and it spends most of its life buried in mud and hiding. Using its 6 eye-like sensory organs, it can detect minute movements in the water and vibrations on nearby land. It will then forcefully leap out of the water and suck up its prey to feed. With its entirely cartoonless skeleton and somewhat primitive features, its round-like chinless mouth, it appears to be some kind of primal creature. Leave it out overnight to drain the mud from the carcass. When ready to cut, or when ready to eat, cut into rings and grill over a high heat. The more you chew it, the more mouthful or flavorful it becomes. So, yeah, this is definitely from Pikmin 2, but just Louie's notes again. Inedible, known to cause mass hysteria, followed by leg spasms and internal thunderings. Smoky Prog. The Smoky Prog's body is constantly deteriorating. Are you gonna hatch from here? I just want to throw some stuff at you. There we go. Smoky Prog's body is constantly deteriorating, so collecting a living sample has proven difficult, and research into the species has progressed at a glacial rate. However, by examining the genes adhered to the Smoky Prog's eggs, it has been confirmed that they are, in fact, Mamuta eggs. This discovery allows for the possibility that Mamuta that do not develop properly and hatch become Smoky Progs. If, hypothetically, a Mamuta were to remain above ground at night and absorb a glow sap, that might impact the nutrient levels within its egg yolks. That change could lead to the embryo's inviability or breakdown in its enzymes. Then maybe. So confirmed. I think from Pikmin 2, the Mamuta was like, it said that the Mamuta was like a larval Smoky Prog or something like that. Or like the Smoky Prog was a larval Mamuta or something like that. Actually, that was in Pikmin 1. At the end of Pikmin 1's creature thing, it said it may be a larval Mamuta. But this is confirming that it is in fact a larval Mamuta, which is very scary. Egg tastes best when smoked. The flavor of its belly and head is pleasantly warming. Somehow Louie ate this thing. So this is gonna be interesting. Ancient Sire Hound. If we harvest chemical stem cells from this gigantic canine creature and cultivate them with glow sap, the generated serum should return Ochi's leafified tail to normal once administered. These results would indicate that 99.9% of the canine creature's DNA matches Ochi's, and that the only difference between Ochi and Moss may be the natural presence or absence of a leaf tail. If these two theories prove to be true, it would suggest the possibility that this ancient creature is a common ancestor to two canine species from vastly remote star systems, and that perhaps there are even more hidden secrets out there that could hint at the fascinating yet inconceivable truth that the universe has yet to reveal. Now what's Louie gonna say about it? The ultimate ride. Plush and comfortable. I wish I could bring it home with me. Oh, thank God he doesn't want to eat it. I just realized I filled up my water bottle, and then I left it outside. Because I'm so smart. I was gonna reach for water, and it's not next to me. We're almost done with the Piklopedia, so I'll grab the water afterward. But then Moss. As far as I can tell, Moss has been a leafling pup since birth. And some of her DNA resembles that of the Pikmin. This is the point in which size differs from Ochi. When Ochi transformed from a standard space dog into a leafling pup, I started to theorize that the Pikmin are, in some capacity, propagating their DNA in other organisms. They're fucking the dog. The phenomenon in which all these castaways, including myself, became leaflings was very likely caused by being absorbed into the onion. Perhaps that process was also some sort of Pikmin infection, or Pikminification of the body. Pikminified organisms can't leave this planet, so the Pikmin may have been motivated to carry out this process in an effort to secure a permanent leader. Of course, this is all a theory. Yay! Now this brings into question the validity of Hey Pikmin on the Nintendo 3DS, released in 2017. Pikminified organisms can't leave the planet. Then what is Hey Pikmin? Because Hey Pikmin talks about how the planet that Olimar is on in Hey Pikmin is a different planet than this one. It is not PNF 404 in Hey Pikmin. Then what is that planet? What is it? Because they can't leave. They can go into the planet's. The onion goes into the planet's atmosphere to escape, predators and stuff. But they don't leave to go to another planet to avoid the predators of this planet. They have to come back, which means they can't go to other planets. So then what is that game? Bad? It's not a bad game, but still. Convenient for procuring ingredients, compact with a tight turning radius. So now there's notes on all the Pikmin, which is very interesting, so I don't know what this is going to say. Pikmin are a part of the Ambrolacus class, which consists of creatures that exhibit both plant and animal characteristics. A Pikmin will instinctively follow whoever plucks it from the ground. So it's quite common for them to form symbiotic relationships with other species, or accept a leader of a different species, as it serves the goal of propagating their whole species, their own species as a whole. The red Pikmin is the most common Pikmin species. It can be identified by the nose-like protuberance on its head and its highly aggressive behavior. It also has a few surprising and unique qualities, for example, its immunity to extreme heat and fire. Despite the fact that it's a living organism, this can be explained by looking closely at the skin and muscle fibers, which are made up of a flame-resistant cellulose. Louie, what do you have to say about the red Pikmin? Looks like a pick carrot. I bet it tastes good, but I'm practicing self-restraint. Good. Self-restraint on Louie is incredible. Good ending. It's generally believed that the Pikmin body was originally the root of a plant that has evolved over centuries, if not millennia, developing structures analogous to muscles, neural networks similar to those of the brain, and more. However, yellow Pikmin possess a perfect resistance to electricity, and a force which actually poses extreme danger to other organisms. Oddly enough, this species of Pikmin actually seems to enjoy electricity. Their flowers even bloom when they are exposed to electric currents. This fact would lead one to believe that their neural transmission methods are quite different than our own. This species often uses the ear-like lame on its head to soar to great heights and dig holes. When I look at it, all I see is ears. The accepted theory is that Pikmin evolved from terrestrial root vegetables, and so would be unable to breathe underwater, and subsequently drown. Yet the blue Pikmin possess a gill resembling a mouth on their head, which enables them to be active underwater. While on land, they leaf and flower like other Pikmin species, and they breathe through their stomatae on their skin, indicating they must be naturally amphibious. Pigment proteins on the surface of their body essentially perform the same photosynthetic process as cyanobacteria, for example, which is what gives them their striking color. I look at that mouth and want to put my hand in it. I just want to see what would happen. I just want to see what would happen if I put my hand in his mouth. Thank you, Louie. This species is definitely a member of the Pikmin genus, but its body does not share any of the plant-like traits that Pikmin are known for. Instead, it's composed primarily of stone. The stone is actually the chosen host for a parasitic subset of Pikmin, species nicknamed Hermikmin. Similar to how a seed can sprout and push through the cracks of a rock, the Pikmin's roots stretch deep into the stone, storing its vital organs in the interior cavity that resembles a crystal geode. Because this species displays characteristics common in Parasitium, one could hypothesize that the rock onion and rock candy pop bud stockpile stone that will eventually host the rock Pikmin. That is actually an interesting development on rock Pikmin. I like that a lot. I think I broke a tooth in one of these. So we did try and eat one! The wings on the back of this flying Pikmin species closely resemble the wings you would find on a flying creature. It's possible that an ancient winged onion somehow absorbed a flying creature's DNA, which then resulted in the precursor to the winged Pikmin, transforming into the species we recognize today. If this theory is correct, the onions might also be serving as the role of messenger, transmitting new traits and characteristics to the Pikmin. I had a dream that I was adopted by a winged specimen. Pikmin supposedly evolved from plants, yet there are also Pikmin species with bodies made of ice, known as ice Pikmin. How is this possible? The answer to this question lies in the fact that the ice Pikmin are parasitic by nature, and the ice serves as their host. The composition of this type of ice is predictably mostly water, but it resembles a saline solution with faint concentrations of trace sodium ions, potassium ions, and calcium ions that function as neural transmitters. Interestingly, the ice exhibits no visual signs of melting or dripping when exposed to sunlight. This is due to its low-temperature core, which continuously creates more ice in order to maintain a consistent size. A kitchen essential used for freezing ingredients and storing leftovers. Good ending. White Pikmin are born through a color-changing process within white candy pop buds, which only grow underground. The poison within its body is the type of datropane alkaloid similar to a toxin often found in certain plant roots. If ingested, it can lead to vomiting, respiratory distress, and complete organ failure, ultimately resulting in death due to cardiac arrest. Although strong, this poison also has medicinal uses, sometimes going by the name aconite. The Pikmin are amblyophiles and evolved from plants, but it seems some species retain more of their plant-based evolutionary heritage than others. Not meant to be ingested, best used as bait. That's actually good advice from Louie, because that is kind of how you're supposed to use them a little bit. Purple Pikmin. Slightly larger in size, purple Pikmin can weigh up to 10 times as much as other Pikmin species. When thrown to the ground, their impact creates gravitational waves that can actually warp space-time. It's astonishing. The density of their muscle fibers is also much higher than that of other Pikmin, allowing them to transport 10 times as much weight as their average-sized counterparts. Their rich purple color is derived from a strong polyphenol antioxidants. Like white Pikmin, they are born from underground candy pop buds, and no related onions have been discovered so far. But I think somewhere underground, deep among the relics of the past, a purple onion is waiting to be discovered. Well, look at that. Very heavy. Tenderizing the meat would be way too difficult. Onions. Sometimes it lies dormant much like a bulb, but dig it up from the ground and provide it with the right stimuli, for example, a good hard shake, and it will activate, sprouting 3 root-like legs. It serves as a role similar to a nest or an incubator for the Pikmin, absorbing pellets or the bodies of dead creatures for their natural value, and then propagating Pikmin of the same color itself. Onions also seem to greedily attempt to replicate certain characteristics of the matter that they absorb by combining with or absorbing other onions, sometimes of the same type. It's been confirmed that just like Pikmin, an onion has muscle fibers in its body. And though it is unable to walk, it is capable of a small range of motion. However, when one breaks down the biological matter it has absorbed, a fuel similar to bioethanol is created. Onions spray this fuel out of the mouths of their underbellies, and are able to fly using their flower-like propellers for stabilization. So all of these things are alive! If you look closely, you see its legs are sprouting a dense layer of hair. I can click pause. I want to, fully look at it. Look at this whole rainbow of colors. They're all bomb at it. Indestructible. I was hoping I could do the thing engage. I can engage with the onions. Then wait, what do I do with this? Can you... It's just, I could just walk around here. I was hoping Ochi could, pick these up again. But no, I guess it's just to look at them. Sure. Flarlick. While it doesn't sprout or create Pikmin, this specimen is a type of onion. A bulb like this one can be divided into 7 segments. Is highly nutrient-dense and contains strong energizing and analeptic effects. The compounds responsible for this characteristic smell resemble onion growth hormones. When absorbed by an onion, it fulfills a critical role in Pikmin proliferation by increasing the total number of Pikmin that can be withdrawn from the onion at any given time. Just like onions, it contains muscle fibers, but Flarlick has no animalistic qualities to speak of. However, if you place one near an onion, it may start to move a bit, as though it's trying to roll over so it can be absorbed. Sauté in oil and add a fragrant spice to your dish, but eat too much, and you'll smell like it for days. So he's eating Flarlick. Candy Pop Buds would technically be from Pikmin 3. So I'll just, show this on screen just in case you want to read it. Pellet Posy would also be from Pikmin 3. Burgeoning Spider would be from Pikmin 2 and Pikmin 3. But Glow Pikmin. Although they've been named Glow Pikmin, it's not entirely clear whether or not the species is actually a type of Pikmin. These creatures possess the same fundamental behaviors of Pikmin, like carrying things, propagating, and fighting. They also share special characteristics such as the leaf atop their head, yet they do not spawn from an onion, but a luminol, and they are only active at night or underground. During the day, they revert into seeds and enter a resting state. What's even more surprising is that they exhibit no signs of life. When a Glow Pikmin dies, if that word can even be used, it does not expire in the typical sense. Instead, it just becomes a form of light, or perhaps a photon, and return to the luminol. Putting aside my scientist hat for a moment, it seems to me that this creature, or entity, may not be a living organism at all, but some manner of spiritual substance. Doesn't smell alive, Louie says. Then what does smell alive? Luminols. Beside the fact that they serve as incubators and nests for glow Pikmin, we know very little about the luminol's ecology. When nocturnal creatures die, a luminol can break them down into glow pellets through its strong dissolving enzymes. This matter, when condensed, becomes glow sap. One might assume glow sap is an extremely dangerous substance, but it has hardly any negative effects. In fact, I've had it administered to me personally as a curative medicine to break down growing leaves. Luminols will only appear in places where an onion was located earlier. I'm trying to think about that. I guess that's true? Kind of? I'm not entirely sure about that. I'm just trying to think to different night missions we've done. Located earlier in the day, since they propagate glow Pikmin, one could surmise that they are rhizomes from those onions. Perhaps using its dissolving powers, it returns the nectar that supports the ecosystem back to the soil. Smells a lot like an onion. The green juice is particularly delicious. And with that, that is the entirety of the Piklopedia. All of the new notes related to everything in Pikmin 4. This has gone on for, like, an hour and 20 minutes I have been recording for. Will I put all of this in one video with the treasure hoard, or will I put them into two separate videos? I don't know, but now I have, over 400 things to read, because there is, like, 200-something treasures, and then I have to read Olimar and Louie's notes for both. I would you possibly pull yourself away from these charming creatures. Come see me when you're ready to take another look. I need to quickly grab my water bottle, because I decided to just accidentally leave it outside. I brought it with me into the bathroom, I filled it up, and then I went to the bathroom, and then I just left it there because I'm so smart. But here we go, I need to drink this. Alright. Honestly, all things considered, I thought a lot more time had passed between reading the Piklopedia from start to end. But honestly, only an hour going by, pretty much. Hour 20 minutes. I think we're making good time. A treasure catalog. So, we have all of these treasures. So let's begin. Universal Rubber Cutie. The first time I laid eyes on this treasure, I thought it was a giant aquatic monster. It took me a few paralyzing seconds to realize it's just a statue. What a relief, if such an attractive creature were to attack me. I'd be too entranced to run away. Which I feel like might be a direct contrast to Rubber Ugly. This thing is huge. It'll take a whole day to eat in its entirety. You're gonna eat the rubber ducks, Louie? He talks about eating the treasures. Because technically, Louie never had any entries for treasures in Pikmin 2. That was the Hokotate ship's job to have other notes. But no, Louie eats the ducks. Very good. Planetary Rubber Cutie. Has a well-proportioned facial features and a smooth exterior. Its hollow interior allows it to float on water. I thought long and hard about what creature inspired this treasure. Before I knew it, I was petting its beak. I'm powerless in the face of cuteness. Still not sure if it's edible. Also not sure if something can taste as handsome as it looks. They love these. Actually, there's an ad break, so hold up. What's very interesting about the Rubber Cutie series is that when you take a look at it, I think this is actually a retexture of the beta Rubber Ugly. Because I saw this again recently. Rubber Ugly Pikmin 2. Yeah. Open image in new tab. This is what Rubber Ugly used to look like in Pikmin 2 in the beta. It was a rubber duck, but it had, like, these anime eyes with, like, the eyelashes coming out of it. And that's kind of what this looks like. Stately Rubber Cutie. Compared to the other treasures found in the this sculpture is tiny, yet with its beak turned courageously upward and its round eyes brimming with the spirit of adventure, I can't help but admire its gallant image. Beauty really can be found around any corner. This seems like the right proportion size for me. Dapper Rubber Cutie. When I was a kid, I coveted a black leather jacket that hung in a shop window. It was so cool. I begged my parents to buy it for me, but they just scoffed in my face. So I saved up my pocket change for months and finally bought it myself. It turns out wearing a leather jacket during the peak of the Hakutate summer is a shortcut to getting a heat stroke. That was the last time I ever tried to be cool. I like this color. Gives off a chill aura. Sweet Stumble Knot. A gigantic, brightly colored stick of candy adorned with a ribbon. My guess is that this was meant to be a gift for a child, and would be a great souvenir to bring back to my own kids. I'll need to keep a close eye on the spaceship's temperature to prevent its melting during transport. Licking it is fun, but it tastes much better if you bite right into it. My man! We'll see. We'll have to see if he bites into ring pops too, like I do. I also just want to take a look at some of these as well, so you can just see a better look at some of the detail on it, because it is a very detailed candy cane. That says Happy Holidays on it. You can't say Christmas in this game, it's too controversial. I hear this item was discovered in a bright and open area unlike other caves I've encountered. What's more, it was presented on a large silver plate. I wonder why it was there. Is it a form of entertainment for visiting guests, or maybe we are the guests? It's near impossible to eat this without losing a drop of cream in the process. I challenge, I gladly accept. Deceptive snack. I looked this up. This is actually a Japanese rice cracker topped with seaweed, is what this is. It's sweet, but not too sweet. Salty, but not overly so. It tastes like something a more refined palate would appreciate, perhaps belonging to someone whose tastes were developed over the course of many years. A crunchy and uncomplicated treat. Stealing a bite of food before it's been served is quite rude, but I understand the impulse. My son and I are always waiting outside the kitchen, itching to try whatever my wife's been cooking. Thankfully, she finds it charming, or we'd have to curtail the habit. If the missing part is out there somewhere, I will find it, and then I will eat it too. This pattern always reminded me of our family game nights. We'd played board games. But it would be even more enjoyable if we could eat the boards too. I was curious that there's actually a candy type like that. I've had that before. There's like candy checkers. I never played the checkers, but there's like candy checkers, and there's like two sides to it, and there's like a red and a blue or something, or a red and a green, and the inside it is the candy, and then you fold the box out, and it's a checkerboard, and then you play checkers, but then the checker pieces are edible. I was curious to know if the flavor was as playful as the design, so I took a bite. Tastes normal. It's like an optical illusion. If I keep altering bites by color, would I ever make it to the last morsel? Sweets don't simply disappear of their own accord. There has to be some sort of a scientific explanation. To test my theory, I've laid out the cookies I am waiting. Normally, I'd have given in to my urge to eat them, but I must stay strong. There's something about this flavor that makes it impossible to stop eating. Not that I've tried very hard. Before we got married, my wife took a compatibility test to assess our relationship. It was all for a laugh, but we got 120%, indicating that we would be eternally happy together. I don't really believe in all that fortune-telling stuff, but I got that test right. There's only one way to eat this. First, look up the jam, then eat the buttery petals until all that remains are crumbs, then eat the crumbs. In my line of work, encountering tough situations and feeling like your life is in danger is all part of the job. But something about this cookie makes me feel like I have the strength to make it through. Like I have an extra heart if my first one runs out. If you break it in half first, it's much easier to eat. Jiggle Jiggle. I actually want to take a look at some of these in here, because you can... Does it have jiggle physics? I can't tell. This is not Senran Kagura. Wait, no, action! Yeah! Based. Pikmin with jiggle physics. We finally made it to the best possible timeline. Children are fascinated by jiggling objects like this one. Oh, I know. I know my kids would lose their minds if they encountered this gelatinous tower. I consider myself a mature adult, but even I'm fighting the urge to climb to the top of this jiggling hill. Based Olimar. The creamy base is delectable, but alternate each bite with the brown topping for a more savory experience. At our wedding, our friends gave my wife and me, it's my wife and I, a spaceship-shaped cake that looked a lot like this one. It wasn't as big, but it resonated with my dreams of exploring space. Of course, my dreams are slightly different now, but I'm happy. I still have my wife by my side. Very filling! So let's see, you can't action these, but you can take a better look at the sprinkles. One whiff of this brings me back to the long days of summer, eating ice cream with my kids. This fragrance smells like their favorite flavor, bright and refreshing. At first, I didn't want to try it, but my children insisted. Now it's my favorite ice cream flavor, too. I'm not someone who likes mint-flavored things, so not based Olimar. Strange way to serve toothpaste. Based Louie! Based Louie! This is why frickin' Mint Chip didn't win the Splatfest. My wife and I have been together for a long while now, but our relationship has never been as perfectly poised as this cake. Maybe it's because I'm always flying around space and she's at home, trying to keep things together. We really are due for a date night. A touch of bitterness makes it much easier to eat. Unbreakable Promise. We do know we can interact with this one. It's a common practice to present an expensive gift for your intended, when you propose. I didn't have the same means to do so when my wife and I became engaged, but I've always regretted that fact. But at least I still love her as much as I did then. Back to being based. I slipped myself right under the metal archway and took a nice cozy nap. We didn't eat the wedding ring. This thing. Apparently, you can jump over this. You'll be blessed with great wealth. I'm not the superstitious type, but I attempted to give it a try. I could use the extra cash. The only thing standing in my way are my poor middle-aged hip joints. I bet this would bring out the big bucks. It's a multi-sensory art experience. You've got the flicker of the flame, the texture of the body, and the glorious scent that just melts into your surroundings. It's so soothing and calming. I'm getting a bit sleepy. Here is a sleep. I set it on fire and it melted. Smells yummy, but unfortunately it's inedible. My daughter loved shiny jewels and trinkets for as long as I can remember. She used to be happy enough with pretty stones and pieces of sea glass, but now all she wants are more lustrous items like this. That doesn't bode well for my wallet's future. This would be great for a gift for Nana. She could use something shiny. Louie looking out for his grandma? Maybe he does have a heart in there somewhere. Sticky Jewel. Again, Sticky Jewel. I ate the ring pop, but I kept the tag to it. This gemstone is large, but kind of cheap. I've only started to accept that one day someone might propose to my own daughter with a gift like this. I know I should probably give that person a warm welcome, but I already don't like them. I'm pretty sure this jewel's fake. I've read somewhere that some colors can have certain effects on your body. This color seems to calm my mind and help me recover my composure when I'm feeling frazzled in the field. It has an almost healing effect. You know, I'm gonna go on an aside real quick. My favorite color is red. So I've always liked the color red, and I've always liked the color black. Just, like, growing up, red and black were my two favorite colors, and I still like them as my favorite colors, but that's probably why I like Pokeballs so much. Because, like, and also just, like, look at how cool this Joy-Con is. I can't use it because it has drift, but look at how cool this Joy-Con is. I like it. It's, like, you know, pure bread with the black buttons, and I like that. But the reason why my channel icon, like my profile picture, is blue, is because I had the original art, that I used to use in all my thumbnails, made by my friend Lexi, which is supposed to be an Inkling version of Hilbert from Pokemon in her art style, and then a mutual friend of the both of us, who goes by Ryudicris now. He's not very active, but he's like pretty much a pro Dynamo Roller player. He used to just go by Squirt Dynamo and go by Squirt. Now he goes by Ryudicris. But I also loved his Dynamo plays in Splatoon 2 for a very long time. He had all 3 Dynamo Rollers with max paint on them, but that's besides the point. He drew me an old profile picture, what used to be my old profile picture, and it just had a blue background, and I just liked that color blue. And then when I had commissioned someone to make a different version of that same profile picture in, like, Source Filmmaker or whatever, when they did that, I told them to use the same blue. So they used the same blue. And then I used that in my profile picture, and I used that in my channel banner. And I just like that color of light blue now. But also, there was a funny post I saw on Twitter a few weeks ago. I don't know where it is, but it was just like, channels that have blue. And it's like, there's like so many different YouTube channels out there that use the color light blue. The ones that come to mind are Scott the Waz and Nathaniel Bandy. I believe also use a relatively similar color of light blue, just because it's a more inviting color than if I had black. Like, the walls of this room are also light blue. When we first moved into this house, all of these walls used to be bright pink. Because, like, this used to be, like, way back when, this used to be a little girl's room in the basement with no windows to escape from in case of an emergency. So it was not a very safe bedroom, but they used it as a bedroom. So all of these walls are painted blue. So now I've just been around blue for such a long time, and I just like the color light blue. There's an aside. I stepped inside the circle and spun it all around me. The science of colors intrigues me. For example, I can feel my instincts sharpen and my zest for life intensify when I gaze upon this hue. What would happen if I were to walk through this ring with my wife? Perhaps its powers could reignite the spark between us. What? I thought you said you loved your wife, and now you're saying you don't love your wife? Like the spark is gone? Seems viable for a ring toss. People tend to gather with those who are like-minded, and eventually they become friends and partners. If you want to build a circle of good friends, you must be the kind of person whose company you enjoy. Then you find companionship with yourself as well. Maybe walking through it brings you good luck. I was hoping Louie would say that he would, like, drink the glowing fluid from the glow rings, but no. I'm no longer trying to catch anyone's eye, but as the sole breadwinner, I need to prioritize my health so I can support my family for years to come. The problem is, I'm so busy supporting them, there's not a lot of time left for push-ups, so we'll see how this all turns out. Apparently, I should be able to lift this pretty easily, but I gave up after my first try. Growing up, I wasn't the one chasing balls or shedding tears over a win or a loss, but my passions were equally absorbing. I wonder why this giant fuzzy sphere has me thinking of more youthful days when they were and what they were like for the inhabitants of this planet. Well, thank God he doesn't need to be thinking about his own giant fuzzy spheres, you know? I like to imagine I'm petting a soft little green creature. Same. You wouldn't eat it? You would just pet it. Its hard outer shell could withstand severe environments, but the inside appears to be unexpectedly soft. The geological layers are breathtaking. If I had to guess, I'd lay this on a scale model of a celestial body. I just can't explain why I want to hit it with a stick. Hold it tightly between your arms and roll. Feels amazing. I can verify that there is indeed 108 stitches on this ball. Spiritomb? I counted them myself. The process took me all night to complete. As an explorer, it's important to question things in order to survive, but I should be careful not to overdo it. I could smell the salty remnants of sweat and tears on this thing from a mile away. When I hear the sound this makes, the word paycheck immediately comes to mind. It's followed quickly by the image of my wife's face and her voice, reciting our monthly household budget in full. Food, tuition, medical bills, the list goes on and on, and... What a pleasant rattling sound. I could listen to it all day. Whenever I hear a joyful song, I'm transported back to family celebrations with live music and dancing. I see my family all dressed up to the nines, looking at me with silly expressions on their faces. I hope to witness that again soon, one day. I can't help but wonder why this isn't a rice cracker. A few years ago, my wife suspected I had betrayed her in some way, some way or another, and was furious at me. She was so enraged, she could have turned the whole world upside down. It was terrifying yet comforting to know I still ignited such passion within her. She thought I cheated on her, but she's still hot. Getting angry is a good way to spur your appetite. What is the purpose of emotions? They give our lives meaning and balance. One could not survive a life of pure sorrow, so we must find delight in things. A life of pleasure would become monstrous. So we should appreciate the bad as much as the good. Suddenly I miss Nana, and I'm overcome by all these sad feelings. He liked eating bugs on the hill, the hill thing by his Nana's house. Really liked it. I was thinking that he was maybe, like, forced to eat bugs as a kid, and that's why he just eats everything. And bugs. No. He just vibes with it. Honestly, reading Louie's notes on all these treasures is very enlightening, because you never get to hear any of this in Pikmin 2. You just get to hear his thoughts on how to eat everything. And in Pikmin 3, it's his thoughts on how to eat everything, but this is a little bit more enlightening. I might not be the most graceful dancer, but who really cares? I like to let the music take over and allow my body to go with the flow. Sometimes my wife and I will be freestyling it. And it looks so much like so much fun, the kids forget to be embarrassed and can't help but join in. Riding dogs is fun. Completely unrelated. My son is a known prankster and likes to catch my wife and me by surprise. One time he leapt out from behind a garden gnome, and my wife jumped so high in surprise that she threw out her back. Since then, we've established a strict household no surprises policy. The first time I was looked by a dog, I thought it was gonna eat me. How many times have I heard my family complain about a jar that won't open or a door that won't open? And there I am saying, just run it under hot water, or push, don't pull. However, I tried both on this bag, and it literally cannot be opened. If I had to guess, there's something really valuable hidden inside. Fun fact about this lock that I wanted to take a look at is that if you turn it around, it says always and forever with a heart on the back of the locket. And I forget where this tradition is. I think it's in, like, France or something. There was a very famous bridge where what people would do is that they would, like, write the names of each other. Like, the two partners would write their names of each other on the lock, and then they would put the lock on the bridge and then throw the key into the, into the water under the bridge. And it became this whole big thing, but I think within the last, like, few years or something, they actually went and, like, forcibly removed all the locks from the bridge, because it was still technically a public space, and, like, got the keys out of the water, because technically it was polluting, or, like, littering, quite literally, because you're throwing it away in the water. But I kind of like that tradition. It's cute. When a flower blooms on a dead tree, it's nothing short of a phenomenon. I've also witnessed flowers bloom on a Pikmin's head after they drink nectar. I suspect this stick shares the same rejuvenating property exhibited by other life forms on this planet. It proved to be very useful when I stuck it in the ground as a marking spot I wish to return to. This one time, when I was a kid, my parents had a big fight and refused to speak to each other. I went back and forth meditating until the argument was resolved. I'd like to say it was for the sake of their love, but I was just tired of waiting for dinner. Could be useful for plating food. The holes might be a problem, but otherwise it's perfect. I found that this planet is riddled with underground caverns and passageways. I love to explore this place, but it feels like I'm in constant danger of falling into a hole. This lid must have been used to warn previous inhabitants of nearby pitfalls. I think this might be money. Hopefully I'll be able to collect some more. I'd equip the underside of this raft with floats so it hovers above the water's surface, making it possible to sail without sinking. Then I'd plug the holes with my magnifying lens so I could peer underwater safely. The more I look it, the tastier it gets. Wooden buttons? Yeah. Okay, so this one's also going to be interesting. The lovely patina on this piece is evidence of a deep bond between this dog and its companion. A dog never truly forgets their owner, and an owner will remember their dog for life. Eternal truths such as this transcend all times and galaxies. The spikes give it a little extra something. I bet this dog was a comfy form of transport. The vastness of space and the unknown it contains is an unsolvable puzzle. At the start of each voyage, I set out to unravel every mystery and discover great truths, but I always find myself returning with more questions than answers. Nana always told me you should build something from... Nana always told me you should build something from the outside in. At Hokotate Freight, we often divide up our cargo in order to use the ship's space more efficiently. Big companies have huge transporters to fill up, but that also means a lot less flexibility. They're still filing up their gigantic ships while we're out making deliveries. Reminds me of a meal I had once. Now I'm drooling. As a boy, I would spend days drawing elaborate treasure maps. The buried treasure may have been junk to most, but to me it was precious. Is this a fragment of a treasure map? I doubt it, but the subject of this drawing was probably a treasure to the artist. Soup. At least, looks like soup. I understand the instinct to hide something precious to you, though the word protect is probably more apt. I feel similarly about my family. I do everything in my power to give them a safe, happy life. It's a simple desire, but it motivates me to carry on. I wouldn't want to hit your head on the edge of this as sharp as this. It looks just like a kind of pictures you get when you let a kid play with a camera, blurry and too close up to see anything. I deleted all those pictures my kids took to free up memory space, but now I wish I hadn't. Imperfect memories can be the most precious. I'm getting strong chocolate vibes. Dog. This makes me think of my dog Bulby back at home. I'm away from work quite a bit, so we've gone long periods without seeing each other. Yet every time I come home, he treats me as if I never left. He may be the wisest and most loving member of the family. Reminds me of a dog. I'd like to take it for a ride. This unknown organism bears a strong resemblance to the dogs on my planet. I'm amazed that such a similar species could exist in the far reaches of outer space. I've heard that organic components can travel through space on meteorites and comets. Could there be a connection between my planet and this one? Looks a lot like a dog. I'm not sure how comfortable it would be to ride. As a young boy, I collected rocks and other shiny objects that I held quite dear. My parents always wanted me to get rid of them, but I refused. I can't even remember where I found them all. I probably picked most of them right up in our own backyard. I'm still not sure why I was so attached to a bunch of gravel, but they shone like diamonds to me. No idea what this is. It's definitely inedible. As a child, there were many times I'd come across something unknown to me and intuitively investigate without hesitation. It worked out well for me, I believe. As an adult, I'd often overthink matters, so maybe I need to recapture that daring spirit of my youth. Licked it, but it didn't get a lot of flavor. Guess it's not a cracker. Why are things the way they are? For example, I can read. Why are things the way they are? The answer can be surprisingly simple. For example, my kids will often dismantle a clock or a chair, or tear up a piece of bread just because they can. Maybe there's no significant reason that this picture is in pieces either. I fit my head into one of the little openings. Felt better than expected. The little bump at the end makes this look like it has a nose. Noses make me think of my son when he was a baby. He'd often forget my face after I'd been gone for long stints of work, and would cry when I got home. But once he knew the distinctive shape of my nose, he recognized me right away. I put my head into one of the little openings. It was underwhelming. Did I dream of becoming a glorified delivery man? Or was adventure always my true goal? Given my current circumstances, who knows? I'm proud to say that I've achieved both, but the president might see differently. I'm worried about my annual bonus. Hold on to one of the nubs and swing to create a gentle breeze. So, about this whole memory fragment series, this whole dog picture this makes, I found this out recently, but if I can get to it, this is actually the same exact image used for Nintendogs, Dash Bun and Friends for the Nintendo DS. It is the exact same dog image. Isn't that neat? Also, I'm curious if I can interact with the whole thing, if there's anything on the back of all the pieces. No. How far are we now? Got a pretty decent way down. I think we're not even 1/3 through, though. This scent is dangerously sweet and brings to mind concentrated memories of my wife's adorable smile. But one can't subsist on sweetness alone. You also need solid qualities like trust and patience. Having those like a big hearty breakfast for the soul. I actually want to take a look at this too. Strawberry preserves. Let's see all the nutrition facts and things. Refrigerate after opening. Opened the lid for a peek and fell straight in. I've never tasted better. This is an extremely dangerous food. Its light and airy appearance belies a rich and indulgent interior. Before you've finished one, you're already reaching for the next. Is it even possible to deny such temptation? And do I even want to? Can be toasted, stuffed with all kinds of fillings, or slathered in jam, but it tastes best as is. I nap in the pilot seat sometimes, but a cushion like this one would be a great alternative. The only weird part is that it's edible. Does that mean something or someone could eat eat it right out from under you? That's a major drawback. For eating, drinking, and napping. Just set it on the ground, fill the pockets with juice, lay down and enjoy. Juicy waffles. Its shape is mesmerizing. I only wish I could understand how it was sculpted. The more I think about it, the hungrier I get. Thankfully, the salty and sweet pillowy interior is as re-engineering as it is delicious. But then I start thinking again, and the cycle continues. Slightly salty, dip in something sweet to enhance the flavor. There's nothing in the universe more interesting than the universe itself. A curious and inquisitive mind will never be satisfied, no matter how much you explore. I hope I feel this way as long as I can. It's important to stay interested in your work. I'll save this drop in a hole sometime. It's often said that you don't realize how much your parents have done for you until it's too late to thank them. Downer. I show my gratitude and keep in touch as much as I can with my video calls. But as soon as my kids pop on screen, my parents forget I'm there. I like how round and smooth it is. I can't stop touching it. I know it's impossible to read minds, but I am particularly clueless when it comes to relationships. When we first started dating, my wife was gracious enough to explain how she felt in great detail. I'm still awkward, but any social skills I do have are hers to thank. I'd like to have a whole collection of balls like this. They look so nice all lined up. I never minded having to start over or pick up my life at the flip of a switch. My environment and those in my social circle might change, but as long as I have my family with me, I'll still be me. They always call me out when I'm acting totally weird. Fun to roll. It's become painfully obvious to me that the mind and body are closely linked. Spending so much time away from my family is hard on my mental health. It visibly takes a toll on my body. Even when I eat healthy and exercise, I really miss them. It makes the most exhilarating sound when it knocks into something. It just occurred to me that I haven't had a checkup I'm in Paris to say how long. You're supposed to do it once a year, but I keep putting it off. Lately, my elbow's been making an odd clicking sound every time I move it. I should get that checked out eventually. I would make a nice gift for Nana. She likes pretty things like this. Getting lost in space is as good as a death sentence. The newest ships have technology that can locate the closest planets and initiate an emergency landing, and yet they still haven't built a navigation system that can detect and avoid incoming meteorites and space trash. Could I stand on and bounce on the ball, or would it just fall? I must find out. It's easy to lose someone's trust, despite the fact that it takes so long to build it in the first place. But once you have that trust and support, it's much easier to achieve your goals. I'd rather be able to count on someone I can trust than leave it all up to chance. Just looks cool. Totally doesn't know it. I never considered myself to be someone with a lot of inner strength or fortitude, but my wife seems to disagree. I must be playing it way too cool when we're together. Looks lonely. This is the kind of ball that's at home in the middle of the crowd. This ball was meant to represent truth, but the truth is never truly black or white. It's both subjective and objective, and extremely tricky. I think the color gray would make more sense for this object. Or maybe that heinous brown you get when you mix all the paint colors together. I should draw the boss's face and roll on this and roll it far, far away. Alright, I need more water in my system. Random thought. It says first seen Sunspeckled Terrace, but I think there's a Sunseed Berry in other areas. So if you don't grab the Sunseed Berry from Sunspeckled Terrace and you grab it in a different spot, will it say first seen, like Blossoming Arcadia instead? The scent of this fruit tickles my heart for some reason. It makes me think back on summer memories. My wife smiling at me in the sunlight. She'd probably have a good laugh if she ever read this, but that wouldn't be so bad. I happen to love that sound. Eat them as is or with a dollop of cream. The sweetest juices is concentrated at the tip. That's what she said. What a perplexing plant. It appears to be carrying 2 different types of berries. Actually, it's the Cupid's grenades from Pikmin 2. Are these actual repeats from Pikmin 2? If it's a Pikmin 2 treasure, because that one sounds familiar. Olimar, treasure hoard, Pikmin 2. Treasure hoard, Olimar's journal. Journal entries. Cupid's grenade. Yes. That's interesting. In Pikmin 2, it says perplexing plant, but in Pikmin 3, it says perplexing fruit. Maybe? Unless it's just different. Because actually, I don't even know if he has entries on this in Pikmin 3. I think it's just Piklopedia. But this is actually copied from Pikmin 2, so I don't even have to read this one. In my youth, I used to power through long night shifts by sucking in sour fruit candy. It somehow energized me and kept me wide awake. I couldn't do that now, even with the candy, but it's an example of how sometimes things turning sour can work out for the best. I love sour candy. Now I want sour candy. My face scrunches up a little, into a little prune every time I eat this fruit, just like Nana does. Might be genetic. When my first child was born, my wife and I would sit outside in the warm spring weather and take turns rocking him in our arms. Those days were filled with endless joy. The sunlight bouncing on his downy hair looked just like this. Whenever I dig into one of these, it's full of big seeds. I feel like it's nature pulling another classic bait and switch. The night after I ate this fruit, I had a dream where I saw lots of them growing clustered together on a tree. If I were able to grow and harvest that many, we'd never run out of food. I suppose we won't know what's possible until I plant the first seed. Perfect for moments when all that will satisfy you is a mouthful of bitterness. Picking the right get-well-soon gift is notoriously tricky. You're supposed to choose something you think the recipient would enjoy, and ignore your own preferences. That's easier said than done. When I can't think of anything good, I usually default to some sort of food, like this fruit. I know I'm always hungry when I'm sick. Scoop out the flesh and pour syrup into the shell to make a pool. Add fruit back into the syrup and marinate for at least an hour. Then dive into the sticky juices and devour. It's both a snack and a workout. One whiff of this fruit will have your mouth watering, but the taste itself is sour and slightly disappointing. However, you can't let results like this keep you from trying new things. There's no greater quality than an adventurous spirit. Cut the fruit into smaller pieces and crush, squeezing out the juice. Add gelatin to the juice, pour into molds and refrigerate for half a day. Remove jellies from mold and devour. Extremely sweet. Almost too sweet. The flavor makes you feel drowsy with joy, and you want to soak in those joyful juices forever and ever. I may need to limit my intake when it comes to this fruit. To enjoy this fruit, all you need to do is take a big bite and let the sweet juices flood your taste buds. This fruit comes in bunches, so you can keep eating them and never run out. A single berry satisfies my appetite, but I'm grateful to live in a universe with such natural abundance. Don't waste your time peeling these. The texture of the fruit is soft and plump, and the skin adds a nice crunch. I've noticed that the skin contains a substance with antioxidant properties. That's why I feel so fresh and invigorated after I eat one. I wonder how I'd feel after eating 2. If eating these raw, You'll want to remove the skin to avoid bitter aftertaste. To make juice, leave the skins on and mash the fruit with your feet. Great for working out pent-up aggression. I look at this fruit and I'm immediately overcome by the urge to split it into a million pieces. I close my eyes to avoid the thought, but the impulse got stronger. I must be holding on to a deep desire to take on and defeat a giant spherical obstacle. Sprinkle with a hint of salt to enhance the sweetness. Numerous pockets of juice clustered around in the hollow interior, much like memories, both sweet and sour, that burst with meaning, yet still cannot fill that empty place in one's heart. Gazing upon this fruit always fills me with regret. Pull off juice pockets one by one and sip their contents. Macerate the remaining fruit with sugar and enjoy the top of ice cream with or yogurt. It seems to be a citrus lump, but younger and very green. Inexperience is usually perceived as a weakness, but its power should not be underestimated. Many an organization has been improved by a newcomer's creative and untamed energy. Squeeze the juice over fish or meat if you want to diffuse their odor. While observing the plant bear fruit, I was unable to work out where and when the flowers bloomed. I was so frustrated that I couldn't figure out basic botany. But all those annoying feelings faded away as soon as I bit into the fruit's sweet flesh. Not just a snack, but a cleansing opportunity for your whole body. Try them dried for a chewy treat. This fruit reminds me of a particular sunset I witnessed years ago. My son and I were walking home together one evening, and the sun was setting right across our path. I remember it like it was yesterday. It wasn't spectacular, but at least I'll never forget it. It takes forever to ripen, and only a few seconds to eat. One of life's greatest tragedies. There's an elegance about this fruit. Its graceful curves and subtle flavor bring to mind images of ornate ballrooms overflowing with cultured guests and blossoming flowers. The simple act of eating it makes me feel a little fancier. Smells divine. Gently press the flesh near the stem to determine ripeness. If it's soft, then it's ready to eat. If it's hard, then you'll have to exercise some patience. This fruit has a high water content, and its skin is so thin that you can bite right through it. I'd bet the most perfect snack. It'd be the most perfect snack to keep in your pack on a long hike through the desert, if only it didn't bruise so easily. I'd consider this more of a drink than a fruit. Technically, I think Disguised Delicacy was in Pikmin 2. So I don't think I have to read this one. I'll just show it on screen really quick. And I don't think Blonde Imposter was. I think it was just Disguised Delicacy. My wife went through a phase where all she talked about was Pikmin and its nutritious value. She charted Pikmin U percentages, and then there was A and P. I never really understood what she was talking about, but she was so passionate about it that I couldn't help but listen. I bet she'd really like to try this fruit. Merciless Extractor. I just want to see on this list. Merciless Extractor from Pikmin 2. It is the exact same as... Yeah, it is the exact same as Pikmin 2's. So I don't have to read anything that was in Pikmin 2. Which means there's no new entry from Returnal Sculpture either. I'll just quickly show this on screen. Citrus Lump, same thing. Face Wrinkler, I don't think was in Pikmin 2. The love between my wife and I has been captured in all sorts of romantic memories, as sweet and sour as this fruit. It's fun to return to those memories and feel what I felt then. Sometimes I wonder how my kids will feel the first time they fall in love. Too sour to eat on its own, but squeeze the juice over fried chicken to add a refreshing hint of flavor. Some people may like to peel this fruit from the top, but I prefer to attack it from the bottom instead. Whenever I go from the top, I get this tingly feeling around my belly button. I find it very unnerving. Save the peel and use it to add a citrusy aroma to your bath. Drop it in warm water and relax. Insect condo will be the same. Dapper blob. Don't ask me how I know, but if you draw a face on this fruit, it bears an uncanny resemblance to my wife wearing a hat. It even emits the same stylish and judgmental aura. Funny how the doodled version of her is as imitating as the real thing. Peeling this fruit is a sure way to dye your fingers purple. It'll be a while before they go back to normal. Scaly custard. The hard, scaly shell that covers this fruit gets softer and darker as it ripens, so determining the optimal time to peel and eat can be difficult. It's as if the fruit is actively trying to sabotage your enjoyment of it. I've never known produce could be so sneaky. Tastes rich and satisfying, so buttery you could almost confuse it with the real thing. Almost. The real thing, you say? So in Japan, the name of scaly custard is actually called crocodile scrotum. I feel like that might be a leftover, saying that it's almost like the real thing. I always thought it was better to eat fruit when it's ripe, but this one is just as enjoyable and nutritious as it's green. When it's green. The same can be said about creatures like us. Many think maturity is superior, but inexperience and youth are what provide fresh perspectives. Packed with seeds, don't stare at them for too long, you might start to feel dizzy. To look at a cross-section of this fruit, you'd think it was a drawing of a star, like one my son would make. Stars don't actually look like that, so why do we draw them this way? Maybe the secret to the universe is hidden within these 5 points. It sort of looks like a sea cucumber until you slice it open. Then you're basically staring at a starfish. Peeling this fruit is arduous due to the soft skin. When I tried to eat it without first removing the peel, a rash developed around my mouth. I had a better success when I slit grid-like cuts into the skin and flipped it inside out. The results were delicious. Its meat has a subtle sweetness and is almost creamy. When I close my eyes while eating it, I'm transported to a tropical locale. I must confess, I once slipped and fell on a peel I thoughtlessly discarded on the floor after eating the fruit inside. I'm really too old to be making mistakes like that. I can even hear my own voice scolding myself. Don't forget to clean up your trash. The taste of healthy yet unremarkable choices. Throughout my life, I've met people who seemed flashy or fancy, but were actually quite down to earth. I've also met people who were as arrogant as they looked. The same lesson should be applied to this fruit. It looks pretty intimidating, but what's on the inside? Despite its intimidating exterior, the inside is surprisingly sweet. If you eat those red ones, you'll be in for a more colorful surprise when you relieve yourself the next day. He's talking about how the seeds come out in your poop? Or how your pee might turn a different color? Now I gotta look this up. Dragon fruit pea color. If you eat enough red dragon fruit, it might turn your pee pink or red. This symptom is more alarming than it actually is. The same thing can happen when you eat a lot of beets. Your pee should turn back to its normal color once the fruit is out of your system. Nice to know. I've heard this mattress possesses miraculous relaxation properties that promise the most restless sleeper a good night of sleep. I was curious to know how this would affect me, who can literally sleep anywhere. Would I ever wake up again? Thankfully, I did. I jumped on it and it was engulfed by a cloud of white smoke. My beloved dog Bulby has the impressive ability to fall asleep anywhere he wants. We have that in common. This habit is also one of my wife's biggest pet peeves. Perhaps if Bulby had a designated bed, it would create a bit more harmony at home. It smells like soap. Maybe I wouldn't need a shower anymore if I slept on it. Research has shown that sound waves created by a chirping bird are naturally confronting and induce sleep. Now, I don't have any strong preferences when it comes to bedding, but if this makes me feel like I'm sleeping on a forest floor, it could be worth a try. Useless for sleeping. Its shape keeps making my mouth water. And now I can never fall asleep hungry. He wants to eat the bird. Just like the rubber ducks from the beginning. We're about 40 minutes into reading all of the treasure entries right now. And we're about halfway through, actually. We're making good time. This thing reminds me of this one time I was fixing the hull of the SS Dolphin. And the combination of the sun and zero gravity created an illusion. It was as if a fish floating in the open sea. But in fact, it was just me, floating in the sea of space debris. I bit into this object while half asleep. I was completely devoid of flavor. I look forward to the one day, to one day looking upon the face of my grandchild as if it's as cute as this one, I couldn't help but dote on them. What if it doesn't really matter what they look like, or if they resemble me or someone else in my family? I've always thought that grandchildren are meant to be spoiled. Cute hat. Makes it hard to see. I used to know a guy who would never give his kid, would never give in to his kids when they begged him for something. He'd get one look from his grandkids, and they'd give them anything they wanted. It seems that a grandchild possesses immense powers of persuasion, or it's just magic. Flip it upside down, crawl underneath, and you've got yourself an instant fort. Children often exhibit both the positive and negative qualities of their parents. I think that's why we feel for them so much. What's more, we want them to keep improving and even exceed the expectations we set for ourselves. It's hard work being a kid. I'm fighting the urge to add nose hairs or a mustache. Oh, angry eyebrows. I work so hard so I wouldn't be a financial burden to my parents, and I don't want my kids to be dependent on me when they grow up. A parent's job is to raise independent children, but not too independent. You still want them to come home for the holidays. Probably used to make bads al fresco. The woody smell is quite soothing. As a parent, you need to be able to hide some emotions from your children. It's harder than you think. I remember telling my parents about my career goals and seeing the disappointment in their eyes. It hurt, but I'm glad it didn't pull me off my path. If I put this on my head, I look just like Nana. I don't think Nana looks like that. I've seen her. Once you have children, money starts disappearing faster than you can save it. My wife always says if it's for the children, it's worth it. I admire her enormous heart. Still, every year it seems like the children get more and more expensive. Walking on the rim of this object is a thrilling yet difficult challenge. I never expected to find such an appetizing cut of meat in the dark underground layer. Why was it there? How was it made? And is there a reason for its large size? I imagined it was an offering to some great figure. I shall pay my respects later as well. Big enough that no one will notice if I slice off a bit to sample the flavor. I'm not sure why you'd want to eat raw fish. Maybe cookery on this planet Maybe cookery on this planet advanced so far that they were able to recreate the essence of the original ingredients. It'd be easier to eat if you could cut it down into smaller pieces. That might be insulting to the chef. Perfect for dipping. The right sauce can bring out all kinds of unexpected flavors and aromatics. Actually, let's stop here for a moment about the delicacy. I'm just now noticing. Okay, yeah, Citrus Lump was in the game. I skipped over it because I was like, wait a second. Is Citrus Lump in the game? I collected 4 of them. Just a random intrusive thought. I understand the white granular parts on the bottom to be fish eggs. One time, when I went fishing with my son, we caught a fish who was carrying eggs like these. It was a revelatory moment for him to see how life can differ from species to species. A more sophisticated palate would appreciate the notes of umami in the yellow sponge-like layer. Again with the umami! What's up with the umami? One of my favorite birthday gifts as a child was a book I received called 20 Million Millimeters Under the Sea. Nice reference. I believe I owe my adventurous spirit to that novel. How funny that a piece of seafood from a different planet could remind me of my childhood self. An excellent palate cleanser. Puts you in the mood for a strong cup of tea. I can tell that it'd give me tons of power and stamina. I'm not athletic, but if I ate this whole thing, I'm sure I could work for 3 days straight without a wink of sleep. Now that I think about it, I don't want the president to hear about this and get any ideas. An unpredictable culinary experience. It's up to the eater to decide which part to eat first. Harmonic Synthesizer was from Pikmin 2. Spouse Alert is also from Pikmin 2, but I'm gonna make an exception real quick. I just read it again. Sometimes I miss my carefree bachelor days. Once you have a family, those days are history. I like spending time with my wife, but sometimes I want to be alone. Actually, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, hold on. We do need to go back a bit. Now that I'm actually thinking for a moment, Cupid's Grenade, it would have a Louie entry. And I was just randomly thinking about the Olimar entries. Louie would have something to say about this. The balance between sweet and sour is almost addictive. I always want just one more bite. Then we need... Disguised Delicacy. The black seeds are a delight and have a satisfying grainy mouthfeel, but I don't recommend eating the fuzzy exterior. Merciless Extractor. Used for extracting fruit juices, but could serve as a cup if necessary. Insect Condo. Crispy yet juicy. Light yet hearty. Always check for worms before taking a big bite. If you find one, it's a sign of good luck. I don't agree, but sure. Citrus Lump. Don't throw away all that stringy white stuff. It's full of nutrients and adds excellent texture to a smoothie. Because that got me thinking, our Harmonic Synthesizer is from Pikmin 2, and Louie would have something to say about it. At first I mistook it for a giant clam. My stomach growls every time I tap it. Because I was thinking, the best part about Spouse Alert was the Hokotate Ships entry, and that got me thinking, wait a second, that entry's not here, but Louie would have something to say about it, so I had to go back and read the other ones. Could it be a fruit? Looks like there's some kind of seed inside, but the husk is inedible. When I was a kid, I set off the alarm system in my primary school just to see what would happen. As predicted, I was scolded, but I have no regrets. We are naturally curious creatures. Why else would it be there? Or why else would we be here? I still get the urge to set off alarms, but sadly I've gotten better at resisting those impulses. I made the mistake of entering the golden bowl and ringing it from within. The noise was deafening. Despite this solemn appearance, the sound emitted by this object is airy and bright. It reminds me of the innocence and wonder that lives in the heart of a young child. It's important to never lose that sense of childlike wonder. I know I haven't. Beware, it's easy to get stuck when you climb into it. Unpainted spaceships look a lot like this, shining and ripe for adventure. As a kid, I could go down to a spaceship dock to just watch the ships being assembled. That's where I started to dream big. In reality, this is likely some kind of noisemaker. Despite its appearance, this is not a chocolate bar. I chipped a tooth when I tried to bite through the foil wrapper. Rip. Based on its shape and where it was found, I have deduced that this is a nest for some type of aquatic creature. On Hokotate, fish are known to use sunken buildings and objects like their own underwater apartments. I'm sure many a life flourished here. Actual Hokotate lore? We're getting a real Hokotate lore in this game. I put my face through one of the holes and smelled something odd. Yeah, probably saliva. I'm not sure my eardrums will ever recover from the thunderous noise emitted from this artifact. I can only imagine it played a role in many naughty child's practical jokes. If I had one of these as a kid, I'm sure I would have been a terror. I can't wait to scare the boss with this thing. Will it play the noise from here? No, when you leave, it'll stop. Sad. Strange. Despite its calming tone, something about this melody makes my palms sweat and sends shivers up my spine. It's as if it's sending me a warning about unexpected troubles in the future. Confirming. This is more proof. Pikmin 4 is a reboot of Pikmin 1 with Pikmin 2 elements, but Pikmin 2 has not canonically happened in this universe. Since this is the Pikmin 3 main theme that plays from this, it is foreboding for the future for Pikmin 3 to have happen in the future. So, I honestly think the timeline is Pikmin 1, 2, 3, but then also Pikmin 4, 2, 3. Which is weird to say, but that's how it is. It could also somehow lead into Hey Pikmin, somehow, that we don't know yet. But this is talking about the Plasm Wraith, which Olimar has not yet encountered in this timeline. This would be the perfect musical accompaniment to a cup of fruit juice. There's a healing quality to this song. I can't help but gravitate toward it. This is the Mario 64 Lullaby one. Perhaps this is a machine meant to lure prey for a strong predator. The strong do have a disproportionate advantage on this planet. Wait, that does make me the weaker prey? Nana used to sing me a special lullaby to put me at ease. I would instantly fall asleep. And this is the Song of Storms. My son is always playing some sort of adventure game. He becomes the hero, defeats his arch-nemesis, and saves the day at last. I admire heroic figures like that, but if given a choice, I'd choose my own life again and again. This song is positively invigorating. I can't stop listening to it. It's crazy how popular the Song of Storms actually is when it's in Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and I think that's genuinely it. Where does Song of Storms come from? Or I should say, what games is the Song of Storms in? Yeah, it's just in Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, and then was heavily remixed for, Smash Bros. Emperor whistles from Pikmin 2, but Louie has something. The sound this makes would wake even a deep sleeper like Nana. This object rattles when you move it. It sounds quite similar to the frequency emitted by baby goods on my home planet. I imagine this would work in a pinch if you had a crying baby you needed to soothe. Reminds me of Nana. It doesn't remind you of you when you were a baby. It reminds you of your grandmother? Interesting. I think that it's got a bunch of fruit on it. If I can press the right button, please. Amplified Amplifier is from Pikmin 2. I didn't even realize this was actually called Amplified Amplifier. Oh, actually, you know what? This is different. Because this normally is in the Raging Bloister Cave in Pikmin 2, so this is actually different. I wasn't surprised to discover this had been found inside a groovy longlegs deep underground. It certainly gives off the same vibes as a creature made of inorganic and organic materials. On that separate note, every time I look at it, I want to dance. So fun to jump up and down on. It's reminiscent of a telescope I had when I was a kid. My father and I would stare up at the skies together and talk about our discoveries. That telescope nurtured my adventurous spirits. I'd love to meet the adventurer who peeked into these lenses. When I looked through it from the bigger end, everything seemed tiny. I feel like a giant. I don't think you can actually look into these, right? Not really. Also, fun fact about this, in case I never showed it before, on the back side of this clock, it says, every second is of infinite time. I was entranced by the longer needle as it spun around and around. I was completely lost track of time. This object doesn't strike me as otherworldly, but whenever I look at it, it's like I can feel the space-time continuum bending around me. The long stick ticks along a lot faster than the short one. If I had to pick, I'd choose the laid-back one. Director of Destiny was from Pikmin 2. Could be useful for food storage. Just need to figure out how to open it. Everything looks so much bigger when you peer through this lens. You can see the smallest of details and all the different components that make up a single object. That's the proper way to conduct a scientific investigation. It's as fun as it is to make food appear larger, this object can't actually increase the amount. Why is it that a child's eye always seems to light up at the sight of a train? My son was fascinated with them, and it was the very first toy he ever wanted. I was the same way as a kid. Even now, I'm wishing I could hop on a train and go for a ride. Choo-choo! Very difficult and uncomfortable to ride. Long ago, railroads were the lifeblood of civilization, and the power to transport people or supplies remains key to our survival. Someone's got to move the fuel, right? I like to think our company plays a similar role in space. It gives meaning to the daily grind. An enjoyable place to sit and play. As a student, I once took a local train. It was a really slow one on a journey to wherever it was going. I was the only passenger. The unchanging scenery stretched on and on. I felt like I was the only person in the world. Sounds like a lot like space travel, huh? Place your order on the right and pick it up on the left window. Beware, service is slow. During my first job, my parents would meet me at the train station where I got home from work. I always thought I'd do the same thing for my kids, but it's usually them waiting at the station for me now. It always warms my heart, but I wish I could return the favor. Comfy digs. Wouldn't mind staying here for a while. They say that following the straight and narrow path is a virtue, but I've learned firsthand that it doesn't always lead you to your destination. When I started working directly under the president of Hokotate Freight, I thought it was the inevitable next step in my career. All it led was piles and piles of paperwork. I'd be happy if my kids take a slightly twisted route in life, as long as it helps them achieve their dreams. The color makes me hungry for some delicious fruit. I always slow down on sharp curves, but sometimes I crave the occasional thrill of speed. Maybe if I floored the accelerator while my parking brake was engaged, it would satisfy my desire. Sometimes I look around and wonder if civilization isn't simply the result of all of us trying to satisfy our desires just enough to stay productive. I keep thinking the next time I jump into one of these holes, I'm going to fall to my doom. I took my son to a zoo a few years ago, and he suddenly started crying. To calm him, I walked him back and forth on a path with no exhibits. We couldn't see any animals that day. We didn't see any animals that day, but I learned that sometimes the best solution is as simple as a change in direction. I got my head stuck in one of the gaps and panicked and screamed. Stuck in one of the gaps. I panicked, screaming, loosened it. Enough for me to get free. I need to stretch. Sitting here in one position and reading all of this is actually exhausting. It's been 2.5 hours of doing this. And we are so close Some people think I don't like the concept of a set path or staying on the rails. That's not true at all. The only thing that matters to me is that I'm going in the right direction. How I get to my destination is irrelevant, much like the opinions of others. True. I'm unsettled by both the shape and the color. So the idea is that you put your hand in the mouth and pretend it's being devoured by whatever inside the object. Maybe some people find that funny, or even romantic. But it seems like a mediocre party gag to me. Shake it and you'll hear the unmistakable sound of money. Did you interact with this one? No. No, you couldn't. I do not want to cross paths with the owner of these teeth. Of course, given the height of those molars, I'm guessing they're too big to have much in the way of physical agility, and that could work to my advantage if we did encounter another one. Or one another. I could just run in frantic circles until they eventually gave up. I wish I could eat all the big things that this big mouth could eat. I'm reminded of a toothbrush I used when I was a kid. I always wanted to brush my own teeth, so when my mom finally gave up helping me, it was a sweet victory. Unfortunately, that's when I started to get cavities. I guess that's the price of independence. I like to bury my face in the long, soft fur. Brushing a child's teeth for them is hard work, made worse by the fact that they're obvious to the perils of tooth decay. I stopped brushing our kids' teeth for a time so they could learn for themselves, but that idea did not go over too well with my wife. There's something soothing about the way it smells. Well, you don't like... Well, do you like toothpaste? Because you didn't like the SS Peppermint, or whatever that treasure was called. So maybe he does like peppermint, just thought it was weird that it was served the way it was. I look at this and I'm instantly overcome by thoughts of my mother and all the mothers out there. They represent the power of nature itself, cocooning the universe in love and fortifying with their strength since the dawn of time. Gave it a whiff and all I got was a nose full of nostalgia. I will reread Maternal Sculpture. This shape resembles a mammalian appendage, but I have no idea what it actually does. It's dripping with what I can only be described as beast drool. I'm hesitant to touch it, but I've got to do my duty on my mission, and maybe it won't be so bad if I close my eyes. Yeah, touch the nipple. This reminds me of my Nana. She used to feed me milk from this kind of thing. No, what kind of thing here? The nipple or the nipple? So actually, that's not... I guess he just says Nana as in mother, and not grandmother. I always thought it was Louie's grandmother when he says Nana. So is it his mother breastfeeding, or is it his grandmother feeding through a bottle? The world may never know. The bathtub we have at home is much smaller. If we had one like this, we could use it as a hot tub and relax together as a family. Then again, it's hard to unwind when surrounded by excited children, especially ones who like to splash you in the face. Perfect for catching critters, and big and small. Just leave the little bait in there and see what happens. I was in awe of modular robots when I was growing up. Their strength and abilities impressed me to my core. I doubt anyone's ever admired me in such a way, but maybe that's not so bad period, if I find great satisfaction being respected as an equal. The rotating action will work great for mincing garlic. Once I get started on something, I'm the type that can't help but keep piling on more and more for myself to do. If that's considered hard work, then I guess I like hard work. The only problem is that the result of the hard work isn't always good. I wonder how much this would sell for if it was reassembled. It's crucial to believe that you are capable of success. Just because you believe it doesn't guarantee it will happen. Then again, if you don't believe it, you're unlucky. You're unlikely to succeed at all. That's why you have to clench your fists and remain strong in the face. Or strong in the face of of every challenge. I thought that was the end of the sentence, and then it kept going. For me, the ultimate success would be reuniting with, returning home with my family. I believe I can. Perfect for tenderizing meat. For me, I love, protectiveness love and protectiveness go hand in hand. When I think of my daughter, rambunctious, willful, a bright spark of joy, both feelings come forth at once. I'll do anything to keep her spark from fading the way mine has. If she read this now, she'd say, "Lighten up, Dad." They say peace and love go hand in hand. Neither seem to add much in terms of flavor. Legs are some of the most important parts of a living organism. Not only are they used for walking and running, but that movement helps circulate blood throughout the body. Some even call legs the second heart. I wonder if my toes serve a second purpose as well. Yeah, they serve a purpose on OnlyFans. I've been looking for something like this for mashing potatoes. Many people don't realize that they not only have a dormant hand, but also a dominant leg. A dominant hand, but a dominant leg as well. The leg can be even more muscular or longer than its non-dominant counterpart. Too big of an imbalance between the legs can have staggering effects. If I have a dominant hand, does that also mean I have a dominant foot? If so, which one is it? Alright, before we get to the goos, we're nearing the end here. We're, like, at the bottom. I've been talking so long, I need to stretch and bathroomize myself, and I will be right back. Let us continue with Uniquely You Goo. This is my favorite color. I love how it imbues passion and emotion into everything it touches. Come to think of it, the first Pikmin I encountered were red. Perhaps that's why I instinctively trusted them. Colors can even influence behavior in all kinds of ways. I find this color unsettling. This color is very similar to that of the blue Pikmin. I prefer red. My mouth turned blue after one lick, and some other stuff kept coming out blue for the next few days. I probably won't eat it again, even if it is my favorite color. Louie ate the blue paint, and then his shit turned blue. Thank you, Louie. I heard that Pikmin of the same color were found at the same location. Could there be a correlation? Some creatures change their appearance to match their environment. I like to observe what happens to those Pikmin when exposed to other environments. Makes me think of my favorite yellow foods. Found in a dark location, luckily, it was just bright enough to be spotted in the vicinity of purple Pikmin. I've never associated purple with strength, but I've since had to revisit my thinking. Reminds me of the color of almost frozen lips. Discovered in an obscure locale alongside white Pikmin. Creatures with bright colors are usually more likely to be packing poison, while creatures with dull coloration are generally harmless. But this doesn't apply to white Pikmin. In fact, they're dangerously poisonous. No doubt they use this to their advantage. My teeth have been sparkling white ever since I used this to brush them. I wonder if I took care of my cavities too. Confirmed Louie has cavities, but that doesn't actually surprise me. This color reminds me of rock Pikmin. When I first touched one, I was surprised by how cold it felt. It was a pleasant sensation, and they didn't seem to mind my curiosity. Much like this treasure, rock Pikmin were found in a dark, chilly place. How appropriate. The boss likes to wear this color. Guess it suits grown-ups. An attractive color, similar to that of the winged Pikmin that were found in its vicinity. It mystifies me how much such helpless creatures have survived for so long. Their bright color makes it so easy for a predator to spot them. Needless to say, I find them to be particularly fascinating. It looks like a ripe fruit when I cover my face with this stuff. Makes me even hungrier. This color reminds me of the ice emitted by the sus nivelistes, or the icy blowhog, whatever it's called. Is it a coincidence that I encountered this treasure and ice Pikmin in the same area? It's no coincidence that ice Pikmin are called that. If I licked one, I'm sure my tongue would stick to it too. I look at this color and think about ice cubes. Doesn't matter how many I eat, they never fill me up. The same color is glow Pikmin that appear while exploring at night. Many think neon colors are artificial, but they're actually the result of certain materials reacting in short wavelengths of light. So they are quite natural, and another example of how our perception can be unreliable. If I painted my whole body with this color, would I disappear forever or never get lost? This statue seems to be imbued with the majesty of an ancient goddess. When I look up at her, I can't help but be mesmerized by her beauty, until my neck starts throbbing in pain. The right hand is holding up a generous serving of soft-serve ice cream chocolate, if I had to guess. That's totally what this is. I actually wanted to take a full look at it. It really is just a full Statue of Liberty. That's still funny. While looking at this statue, I found myself smiling and petting its head for no discernible reason. It must possess a magical ability to captivate people and convince them to do its bidding. How can something so devious and manipulative be so cute? I'm getting all I'm getting are greedy vibes. Sadly, I can't have it, do an action. Ancient statue head. This looks a lot like a figurine my son learned about in school. I've always wondered why, she wears goggles. What does she have to hide? Maybe a secret path with another ancient statue floating around out there? I look forward to discussing this theory with my son. There's no way I'd win a staring contest against her. Wait. Can I probably can't with the statues, because they're statues. Could I be related to the person who modeled for this statue? While examining it earlier, I found myself striking the same pose without even realizing it. If we do share the same genes, how did they end up on this side of space? Deciding what to eat next is a quandary that will forever thwart the mind. As soon as it is resolved, it begins anew. What manner of calamities had befallen this planet at the time of the statue's was created? Apocalyptic catastrophes, extreme weather, the wrath of the gods. The questions that artifacts like this inspire are what make them truly valuable. This made a nice snack for someone. If there's a way to enjoy eating rocks, I would like to know how. I suppose with the arm. There's. I didn't even notice there was crack on this thing too. They really went all out. I've never been the type to give up. No matter how many times I fall, I always get back up again. At first, I thought I could practice alongside this machine, but its stubby body reminds me too much of the president. One glance at it and I lose all motivation to continue. The shape itself is familiar, but that's it. Let's go. Upon looking at this warrior's calming visage is a peaceful way to spend an hour. The eyes seem to see through everything, as if their gaze is freeing from the darkness of your mind. Perhaps I've stumbled upon the sacred key to life's greatest questions. This bear is striking a resemblance to something else. This bears a striking resemblance to something else. Like rock Pikmin? Or what? What does it strike a resemblance to, Louie? I want to know. I can't pinpoint the exact moment, but this reminds me of the face my wife once made when I delivered a perfectly executed dad joke. That's perfect, actually. When you think about it like that. I don't like looking on the inside of this mask, though. Freaking notes. It's been a long time since I've been face to face with such beauty. I can feel my heart I can feel my heartbeat in my eardrums. Of course Louie is attracted to it. What mysterious and fluffy creatures. I can't find evidence of them in any of the existing creature databases, but there's something familiar about them. It's almost as if I've met them before. I guess I'll chalk it up to an ancient memory that's been imprinted on my genome. I'd like to take a ride on either of these creatures. Quantifying the warmth in your heart, what a brilliant idea. The next time there's a mix-up between my wife and me, I could just show her the numerical value of my feelings for her. Yeah. 97.3 is exactly, how much you feel, and not a regular temperature. 100? Totally not a fever. Then we could use it on her. Actually, that part might backfire. I looked the smaller smaller end, and it was a little bit salty. The rest was pretty unappetizing. Gross. Actually, this says 36.8 Celsius. God damn it, Celsius. What is 63.8 Celsius to Fahrenheit? 98.24. So that is not a fever, that is an average temperature. Tasks in space require accurate timing. Docking a spaceship is a good example of that. If the monitors on my ship were to break, I'd need to measure time using my instincts alone. This is the perfect tool to help me develop an accurate sense of time. Could be handy when you're collecting fruit and you're too tired to keep count. I may be able to embed this on the wall of the ship's computer room. It could be useful for making manual calculations of the ship's AI ever crash unexpectedly. Space pilots need to be prepared for any emergency, and I'll take all the help I can get. I'm not sure if I'm using this thing correctly. It looks like it has buttons, but they can't be pushed. It's an extremely sturdy calculator. I never thought sturdiness was necessary quality for a calculator, but I do recall my wife recalculating our monthly budgets multiple times at their shopping trips with extreme vigor. And the calculations I've used for both life and work do have a tendency to get thrown around. I guess that the craftsman on this planet had the right idea. It's a nice place to lay and think about the day. The adjustable pads mold to your body shape. A strange life form that mimics an octopus. We've discovered other creatures that use mimicry, but in this case it's fairly unconvincing. I'm not even sure it is a life form. I intend to dissect it and investigate further, but first I will try to bite one. The head and tails have the same flavor and texture. Tastes like fish. It's disturbing to see a mouth that can be removed like a cap. If it were reattached improperly, would the body fluids simply pour right out? I remember when a supposedly airtight container of mine once failed. My bag smelled like onion soup for a week. Just one splash of this creature's liquefied innards improves the flavor of any dish. I'll never leave home without it. Newtonite shell. A fossil excavated at the beach. From its shape, I can deduce that it was cast by an aquatic creature. That could indicate that the current site of this beach was once the ocean floor. I only took one bite of charred space. It only took one bite of charred space newt to straighten Nana's bad back. I wonder what medicinal properties this might have. Space newt. New Pikmin lore. There's a space newt somewhere in this universe. Discovered along the mountain stream, its shape reminds me of a type of footwear I used when moving through shallow waters. Perhaps this creature mimicked the shoe prints of this planet's inhabitants as a way to hide in plain sight and steal their food. An excellent tool for mashing and grating fruit. The spear looks like a rocket from the early days of space exploration. It may even conceal some kind of high pulse force within. But I hope it has a more romantic history than that it protected explorers as they sailed through space, pursuing their dreams. Cold to the touch, but fun to climb. My little girl has always been the princess of our household. If there was a miniature version of this, I'd love to present it to her as her own personal fork. I can imagine it now. She'd be so ecstatic, swinging it all around, wreaking havoc, scaring the dog. Never mind. I think our little princess is a tad too spirited for a gift like this. If two people work together, they could use it to drop fruit from a considerable height. Careful! This tool is very sharp. Its original owner must have wanted it to pierce or crack things open at any cost. As a lover and preserver of unique objects, I'm not quite sure I understand the purpose of or value of an item such as this. I think all the hard-shelled snacks I could open with this thing. Here we go, the moment we've been waiting for. During slow days at work, I like to play this game where I use zero gravity to float toy rockets in front of the ship's window. Then I act out scenes of my favorite childhood TV show and pretend there's a galactic war going on in the distance. I should probably edit these notes before the president asks to review them. I jumped out of my skin the first time the display lit up. Amen. I just want to hear it again. Yay. I think this might be a tool for warding off predators. Perhaps if I attached it to my back, the creatures of this planet would be deterred from chasing me. I could test this theory on the Pikmin. Of course, they might end up carrying me instead, treasure and all. Oh, it's so shiny. I can't decide if I'm drawn in or if I should run in the other direction. I like pressing the different directions of the mathematical symbol. There's something captivating about the two round buttons. I can't help but want to push them over and over as fast as I can. I don't want to break them, but I don't want to stop either. Nothing and no one tells me what to eat. Do you eat the controller? How interesting that the artist used a black plank as a canvas, and how they chose to depict the pilot. They look like the type that works hard for their beloved family, though the design of the spaceship is all wrong. Good luck flying that through the narrow meteor crevices. I've been looking for a tray like this to use at mealtimes. It looks pretty easy to carry, too. No more meals will be lost to the poorly placed wall. It's a bit unusual to call something a masterpiece before you read it, but I've got a good feeling about this one. I think it's meant for children, but is it about a boy or a girl? Hopefully both. It's been hard to please everyone in the audience at bedtime lately. The color of this thing reminds me of a really delicious fruit. This is like the third thing he said about the color yellow. This machine is equipped with an advanced vibration feature. The vibrations seemed to be communicating in a vacuum, perhaps trying to reach out to its corresponding system, which has likely been lost to time. Who knows what the machine is trying to say, but it's telling me something about the sadness of abandoned technology. Nice for a great back massager. Sharing is one of civilization's most important virtues. We share food, shelter, stories, and sometimes even checks. I can only hope this belief is also held by the president of our company. I'd like him to share in the form of a holiday bonus this year. Look at all those buttons and the rotating nub thing. I'm not letting anyone else touch this. It's mine. I don't have a creative cell in my body, but my daughter somehow avoided this genetic deficiency. When she's drawing, she becomes so absorbed by her art as if she's the only one. She can't hear a word I say. That, or she's just ignoring me. I have no idea. If what she draws is any good, but the ability to focus on something so deeply is talent enough. Either way, her future is bright. There's a ball hiding inside this thing for some reason. I take it out, and you can't roll it anymore. Space is a funny place. You can be using the latest in galaxy navigation technology, and still find yourself lost in a sea of space trash. But that's life, isn't it? If you want to advance, you've got to be flexible. This also applies to settling Yeah, martial disagreements. It opens, then it closes. It's pretty fun. I sort of see these winged aspect, the winged aspect, what mostly, this resembles, this reminds me of a model spaceship, I played with as a kid. The overall design is perfect for transcending all kinds of atmospheric barriers. Plus, it looks cool. I see it as 2 rotating nubs, but it's unclear which one I should play with. Play with both rotating nubs. I don't know what new update you're talking about. Like, updating Pikmin 4? It seems fine to me. I don't know. What your eyes might see is not exact representation of reality. You can only see one part of the world within a narrow range of visible light. This magnificent device proves that theory. I'd love to show it to my kids one day. That would boggle their minds. These would enhance any video game experience. Louie is a gamer? Confirmed. Also, this means he loves the 3DS. I like the 3DS. I'm picky when it comes to music, but I'm fascinated by how melody can perfectly capture a person's soul, or even a specific feeling. I wonder what my song would be. I'd like to think it would sound bold and romantic, romantic and a reflection of my adventurous career. That's why I'm trying to be mean. Really weird. I climbed on top of the knobs. The middle one was the most comfortable. Versatile injury plank. The ability to stay balanced is critical to exploration and space travel. It is okay to lose your balance as long as you can regain it right away. This tool is perfect for strengthening that skill. The only problem is I can't get it to move forward when I'm on my back. Whee! It's so fun to ride! I've seen a lot of fan art of Louie riding the skateboard because of this. These shutters make it difficult to see clearly ahead, so I'm not sure why they'd be found in a dark cave. And it's not as if they could even be used as a proper hiding place. They remind me of playing hide-and-seek with my kids and pretending not to see them. I'm not, like, entirely certain what you mean. Because, like, there's a Game Boy Micro in the game. I don't own a Game Boy Micro, and I'm currently playing on a Nintendo Switch. I own a Game Boy and a Game Boy Color, but I've never owned a Game Boy Micro, so if you're having trouble with the Game Boy Micro, I'm not sure. Awfully difficult to see through. I have no idea what's in front of me. Love Nugget was from Pikmin 2, but Louie has something. Exquisite balance of sweet and sour. The umami flavor almost doubles when cooked with meat. Why does he love umami so much? Umami, which is also known as monosodium glutamate, is one of the core 5 tastes, including sweet, sour, bitter, and salty. Umami means essence of deliciousness in Japanese, and its taste is often described as meaty, savory deliciousness that deepens flavor. Okay, well, I have brain rot from Splatoon 3, because I usually everything in Splatoon 3 is a fish pun, so I always thought umami ruins was like a type of fish, like umami is a type of fish, but no, that's what umami means. Fair enough. Love Nugget is not from Pikmin 1. Love Nugget is from Pikmin 2. You do not collect a tomato as a ship part in Pikmin 1. When I was a student, a girl in my class asked me to go shopping with her. It would have been rude to refuse, so I went. My friends kept hassling me, saying it was a date, but it was so embarrassing. But come to think of it, my wife asked me asked me out soon after that. I wonder if she was jealous. Yummy, but not very filling. Google it. Is this what you want me to do? Love nugget. Pikmin. We will go directly to the source. Love nugget. Piklopedia. Love nugget. Pikmin fandom wiki. Love nugget is a treasure in Pikmin 2. It's actually a red, ripe tomato and is found in the first level of Citadel of Spiders. This plant grows so fast it reminds me of my own children. One day they are little... reading in the wrong voice. This plant grows so fast it reminds me of my own children. One day they are little babies in my arms. The next day they sprouted up into a fully fledged people. I have my wife to thank for that. She does so much while I'm so frequently away from work. These delights grow fast, but not faster than I can eat them. I'd be happy to prove it. I once saw a prototype of a spaceship shaped like this. Unfortunately, it didn't fly straight. It just spun around in place. Examples like that are why I prefer a more traditional approach. Being original for the sake of originality is usually a waste of time. Stir fry over medium heat to get that melty inside and crunchy exterior. During my... Oh yeah, nope, this is Child of the Earth, Pikmin 2. When left unattended, its leftovers will begin to sprout. I might try burying it underground to see if it takes root. When my son was born, I was almost immediately worried about him, but it was so different with my daughter. I sensed from the start that she was strong-willed and sturdy, a sweeter version of her mother. This daughter of the Earth reminds me of her. Are you just gonna like, you're literally saying wrong things just because you can. Bake in a hot oven until you can pierce the middle with a fork. Slather with butter while still warm. Large. And the size is right for retrofitting into some sort of a vehicle. Maybe a carriage? But then what do you do with all the goopy insides? Flippantly throw them out the window as you roll away in your fancy new transport? Never. I am vehemently opposed to wasting food. Scoop out the flesh and bake into illicit, fruity, sweet flavor. Your ignorance of the topic is baffling. You can just, go fuck right off. Being perfectly honest. You're just causing problems for no reason. I've been playing Pikmin since 5 years old, and I'm 23 right now. I know what I'm talking about. I just played Pikmin 2 again a month ago. It's in fact right here on my system, and I can open it up to show you, but I'm not gonna ruin what I'm trying to do right now. And for YouTube viewers, I timed them out for 8 hours, so they can come back tomorrow. I don't need any special tools to open the shell, and the fruit inside is edible. Cracking these open is so satisfying that I find myself getting carried away and opening more than I could possibly eat. Note to self, work on moderation. Crack open the shell to snack on the crunchy nuts inside. Don't forget to drink. These make you thirsty. The shape of this fruit looks a lot like my grandpa's face. New Olimar lore. It's so similar that if I were to name it, I'd call it Grampy Face Fruit. My wife always thought my taste in names was catastrophically bad, which is why she named both of our children. Well, what are their names? We don't know Olimar's kids' names. But I think this one has a certain ring to it. Can be grilled or sautéed. But I like it when it's best eaten raw. First time I rode in a spaceship, I was a student working part-time for an interspace transportation company. The excitement I felt during that first launch was unforgettable. The iconic rocket engraved on this shield reminds me of that moment. Shimmers and sparkles in the sunlight. It's bewitching. Mr. B with hydrate? I just ran out of water. How far are we to the end? This is like... We're so close to the end. I will get water, I promise. When I was little, I'd look at pictures of planets and imagine that the rings around them were roads you could travel on. Of course, once I got to space, I learned that those rings are usually made up of dust particles. I'd never been so disappointed. A jelly donut on the verge of exploding. Someone told me that when a satellite is decommissioned, some of its lights will start to blink spontaneously as it falls through the atmosphere. It's likely a glitch, but I'd like to believe the satellites sending one last message before burning up into nothingness. Comfortable spot for a quick nap. The figure on this shield is wearing something quite similar to our spacesuits. That would mean these living beings must have looked something like us. I wonder who they were and what their faces looked like. Could they have been our ancestors who migrated through space to our planet long ago? The mouth is huge. The mouth is huge and trying to eat something. Floating cookies, I think. I often encounter comets and meteors on the job, and collisions are bound to happen. I once had to make a crash landing for that very reason. I like to look back at those events as unexpected adventures, but at the time, they're pretty harrowing. Could be easily mistaken for some kind of jewel, as sold for a hefty sum. I like to find more of these. I was just checking something. Even though it's awkward to handle, I assume it's a weapon of some kind. I like how lightweight and user-friendly it is, but I'm not sure how effective it would be against most threats. Either way, it's fun to play. It's a lot of fun to play with. I like the way it looks when it's plunged into a fruit. It must have been pretty hard to see this sword in the forest, as it would blend in with the foliage. Applying apectic coloration to a weapon is more than just practical. It's brilliant. I'm always amazed at the creative solutions that float around in the minds of others. Looks a lot like grass. I visited a few icebound planets while delivering cargo throughout space. Based on my experience, I find it hard to believe that this material could withstand such a severe environment. I think it's likely this object was used for another purpose. Also, there's no snow areas in the entirety of this game, which I think is very interesting. Because Pikmin 1 didn't have it, obviously. But Pikmin 2 starts in an ice area, and Pikmin 3 pretty much starts in an ice area, and then you go back to it. Fun to stab fruits with this thing. My son used to have a toy sword of similar color. He was obsessed with it, and brought that sword everywhere he went, including the dinner table. That is, until I explained that it was dishonorable for a hero to attack a weaker citizen, wielding only a fork. Interesting color. I'll never have to use a fork again. With all these different colored swords, I assume that the armies on this planet color-coded their troops. An entire unit with matching weapons and uniforms would have been a sight to behold. I'm sure this color especially stood out. Is we going to talk about fruit? When a shaft of sunlight hits the handle just so, its beauty overwhelms me. It's like nothing. It's like I've been transported into a painting. It's a weird entry for Louie. They say it's possible to float this unfloatable boat with the help of a divine intervention. That sounds a lot like luck to me. I've had my fair share of bad luck, but at least I've been fortunate enough to survive. Anyhow, my chances don't look good. Though I'd take it out in the water. I thought I'd take it out on the water, but it sank as soon as I boarded. I'm much more used to seeing fish painted in profile instead of the form of top down. I suspect this is supposed to float on water. I'd be quite startled to encounter a fish like this under normal circumstances. This fish is too hard to chew. Inedible. Here we go, this fidget spinner. I'm gonna do it again. Yeah! The movement of this universe always seems slow to me, but it's a matter of perspective. Maybe the movement of this object is how much higher power perceives it. We're all so small in the grand scheme. I get dizzy thinking about the epic scale of space, or was it just the space spinner? My eyes, they can't stop spinning. So fun! course, Louie would like the fidget spinner. Attaching an intangible wish to a tangible object seems like a universal habit. I wish for my family's happiness, but I haven't quite found the right talisman to attach it to. My family must be wishing for my safe return. I hope they have better luck. Not the most comfortable bird to ride, but I like the color. This bird reminds me of a mythical creature famous for granting immortality to those brave enough to seek it out. I have no interest in living forever, or maybe the idea of risking my life for the sole purpose of avoiding death just sounds sounds a bit wonky to me. Why not enjoy the time you have while you have it? Anyway, this is a nice shade of red. I was disappointed to learn that it can't fly. Shame. To have a charm that's solely devoted to financial luck comes off as vulgar and gives me an icky feeling. On the other hand, money is a necessity, and that's an inescapable fact. Well, there is one escape. More money wouldn't be nice. Wouldn't that be nice to have a bit more? Maybe we could sell this for a profit. I am deeply moved by when I imagine ancient peoples entrusting the small, smooth ball with their hopes and dreams, then passing it down through the ages. It'd be a comfort to know that my dreams won't die with me, but will somehow transcend time. I bit into it, thinking it was a fruit. Sadly, it's not. I'm so bemused by the idea of catching a dream, but it's difficult to achieve in practice. I still haven't been able to catch the ball with the spike upright. Perhaps I need to try an easier angle, but would that diminish the challenge and thus the quality of the dream? You may need to poke something with the spiky part. Don't worry too much if it deflates. Simply pump more air into the top hole, and the original shape is restored. The material, though paper thin, seems to repel water. Such an inspiring creation. Only the most advanced civilization could conceive such a work of art. It's like a metaphor for both the fragility and durability of life itself. The sound of it getting crumpled up sends shivers up my spine, in a good way. I once had a trump card, a premium license given only to the first-rate space navigation officers that allows you to bypass the arduous license renewal process. But I'm sure I lost that qualification with the recent incident. Guess it's back to annual visits to the license renewal planet on the edge of space. The lines are always so long. I've always wanted to play the trumpet. Does true evil really exist? I can't say for sure, but I have seen a smile like this before. It often graces the face of the president of Hokotate Freight, usually when he's asking me to work overtime, unpaid. So I guess I can confirm that true evil exists. I like the look of this character. Seems like a fun companion. Some might look at this and see a symbol for life. But this treasure better represents courage. The two are closely related. Of course, power and wisdom also have roles to play. The Triforce. But without the courage to take that first step, your journey cannot begin. The symbol reminds me of mock bottoms. I'm hungry again. But there's physical power. There's physical power, and then there's mental power. Anyone who witnesses an argument between me and my wife could clearly see who's quicker on their feet, and in the heat of the moment. That doesn't bother me so much. I just wish I had the same. Hello, that's Silent Boy. Welcome to the stream. I'm doing good. Been reading for 3 hours, but I'm enjoying it. We're almost done. All I see are empty plates and need of some food. Possessing wisdom isn't always a good thing. Sure, you can examine a subject from multiple angles, but you can also get stuck in a maze of thoughts. I'm envious of people who can just act on instinct without overthinking every last detail. Let's see. I don't. Maybe. Works well for a makeshift fan. It even features a picture of a salad. Also fans my appetite. Trying being Pikmin 4 with no items and upgrades. I wish you luck on your challenge. I've been replaying this game on my own outside of the stream, and I'm just, like, not getting upgrades if I don't feel like I need them. During the main playthrough, I just grabbed every upgrade that I could get at the moment I was able to unlock it. So I'm seeing how much the difficulty increases with that. Though I travel through space, on my time spent observing various life forms have taught me, various life forms have taught me anything. It's that love can take many forms. Some creatures get nutrition they need to grow their eggs by eating their mates. But that's an extreme example. Thanks, Olimar. I've had a lot of sweet fruits that look like the one shown here. He's got platinum on almost every Dandora challenge up to the Giant's Hearth. It seems very difficult with all of the with the lack of upgrades. I did all of the Sage trials after pretty much 100%ing the game, so I had every upgrade. I was watching someone last night play the Sage trials without getting all the upgrades, and it was not pulling any punch. It was like pulling out all the stops. Like, it was really difficult. So I might try and do that when I do that again. I will be going back soon and trying to platinum the rest of them, though, on this file. The love I feel for my family and the passion I have for my work are so very important to me. But so is money. Love and passion are all well and good, but you can't appreciate any of it if you go hungry, and you'll go hungry in this universe without money. A collection of jewels such as this would sell for a lot of cash. In my line of work, it's crucial to stay on top of your to-do lists. When things are busy, it's easy to get sloppy and let things slide. But that's when consistency matters most. There's nothing like that rush of joyful relief when you feel when crossing off a task. Looks like a veritable garden of crunchy sandwich fillings. I just want to make sure that's not a typo and that is a word. A veritable.
Veritable.
Being in the fact of. Fair enough. Appears to have the same composition as the gold on my planet. I've heard that some heavy elements, like gold, are created during rare collisions between neuron stars, but to think the same element exists on faraway planets reminds me, space is so vast. When I see this, all I want is more. I've lived through some harrowing events, and the trick to surviving in space is to prepare for every possible situation, but this is technically and literally impossible. Sometimes you just need to roll the dice, hoping for the best, and let the universe do its thing. Can you roll the dice? You can't roll the dice. Sad. Only useful for deciding between 12 or less options for your next meal. Having to choose 1 out of 20 possible scenarios during a voyage through space would be an object lesson in randomness, and very unfortunate. On the minuscule chance it should ever occur, the only solution would be to throw up your hands and laugh. Fun to watch because it rolls so well. When I gaze at this stone, I can... nope, this is Pikmin 2. Chance Totem. I'm not sure which is luckier, 1 or 6. When exploring, I'm often faced with a difficult question. Which way do I go? North, south, east, or west? A tool like this could be useful for those moments. Of course, one roll would be too random. I'd best roll it 100 times to take the average result. Climb at your own risk. I hope to one day celebrate a high-numbered birthday. But I don't think there will be any large birds in attendance at the party. I just think of how much trouble they could cause. If space has taught me anything, it's to plan for the worst-case scenario. The bird looks like it has a lot of meat on its bones. Springtime always reminds me of the day I moved out of my parents' house. At first, everything was fresh and exciting, but I quickly realized that life on my own was a lot harder than expected. I also realized that I should thank my parents for all they've done for me. Puts me in the mood for snacking. When my son was little, he thought the moon was just a powdered donut in the sky. He would cry and cry, "I want to eat the moon!" Apparently, I was the same way. These days, he loves to look at the moon through a telescope. I guess the apple doesn't fall far. White and round. I'd eat it. I love rainy days. They're the perfect time to catch up on paperwork, relax a bit, and dream about my next big adventure. That is, if I have any energy left after entertaining my kids, who can't go outside to play when it's wet. I'll take what I can get. Reminds me of the time I lost my lunch after drinking some rainwater. Oh, he threw up. Wow, Louie has mentioned vomiting, pissing, and shitting. Thank you. Maybe this object would increase productivity at Hokotate Freight. So would a better spaceship. Maybe it's my fault. If I stopped miraculously surviving such dangerous situations, the president might realize we need to upgrade our equipment. I bet this piece would sell for a lot of money. And that's it! That's it! It goes back to Universal Rubber Cutie. That is all 239 treasures. All read out, as well as the Piklopedia in the beginning of the stream. I'm so glad I started the stream 30 minutes early. Because now it has been 3.5 hours of stream time, which is pretty much how long I would have been able to stream for anyway. I'm not going to take the time to do the rest of the Sage Trial stuff now. I don't want to, I would only be able to play for another 30 minutes. Plus, I'm incredibly hungry after non-stop speaking, for 3.5 hours. If you enjoyed the Piklopedia, I hope you learned something new from it. Can I see the hair on this thing? I can barely see the hair on this thing. Why the hell did it make a red and a blue Pikmin all of a sudden? It was supposed to make white Pikmin. That's weird. Oh, they're all going away. I don't know why other Pikmin just randomly came out of the onion. What is happening here? Why is it making one of each color? And only 3 Pikmin types can be out on the field at the same time, so what is it doing? What the hell is it doing? Is it just producing infinite Pikmin? One of each Pikmin type for no reason? I've never seen it do this. What the hell is happening? All I did was send Ochi to pick up a thing. I've done this off stream before, where I've had Ochi just pick up a pellet and have it bring it to the onion. Why is it it's randomly producing one of each Pikmin type? Infinitely. I'm very confused by this. But okay. I don't even know if that's a glitch. I actually now want to look this up before I end this video, this stream. Pikmin 4, onion sprouting infinite Pikmin. Wait! From 23 days ago on Reddit, found a glitch where the onion was spitting out random Pikmin, left the game on overnight. This was the result. I noticed the onion spitting out random Pikmin even though nothing was feeding it. I farmed Pikmin for a while, and noticed it never spat any ice or whites, but the numbers kept increasing anyway. I left the game on overnight while the glitch ran, and sure enough, the onion is generating infinite Pikmin for no reason. Open a cave menu, back out, and unload the area by talking to Dalmo, Schnoz, or the barber. Then put a pellet in the onion. That's exactly what I did! That's actually exactly what I did! It only works for Pikmin you have in onions. If there are Pikmin in every onion color on the map, onion stops producing seeds until another pellet is put inside. It will, however, resume spawning all types indefinitely once you do. There aren't places in the main areas that unload the area like Dalmo does, so this can be used passively while doing something in the game. I got the achievement, grow the Pikmin population. It showed up on the screen again. Pikmin count Yeah. Alright. Is there a YouTube video on this? Wait. So yeah, this is exactly what I did. That's so weird. Yeah, it's a video of the exact same thing happening. Alright. While I've had this going, yeah, I just generated, like, another 40 white Pikmin while this was happening. I'm at 69 white Pikmin now. Alright. I actually legitimately almost want to leave this game on while I go to work, because I'm about to leave for work in, like, an hour, which is why I was going to stop streaming. I just want to leave this on and see what happens now. Wow. That's interesting. I will quickly just... I don't think I can save the game from here. I guess I'll just leave my Switch on for the next, like, 6 hours and then see what happens. Well, this is the end of this video now, I suppose. Thank you very much for watching. As a YouTube outro, Pikmin 4 up to this point. There will be at least one more video of Pikmin 4 where I do platinums on all of the rest of the Sage Trials. And that will happen. And then I have a lot to say about this game. I've said a lot about Pikmin 4 throughout the entirety of this playthrough. But I kind of want to make, like, a full-fledged, like, review of the game, and just rant. I don't know how that's going to go, because sometimes I have ideas and then don't follow through on those ideas, but I genuinely kind of want to do this. I was going to do it on stream, and just, like, rant on stream for a while, but I kind of want to put, like, a little bit more effort into it. So if I find the time to put effort into it, I will do that. But... for the most part, there is one more episode of Pikmin 4 left, which will be, like, the true end. It'll just be called bonus video or whatever, where we go do the Sage Trials. I can't do that right now, but I hope you learned something from the Piklopedia. This was all streamed live at twitch.tv/Pokeball35, linked in the description down below. If you're not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do so, because they do have a lot to offer, including this full playthrough, 100% of Pikmin 4, all of the other Pikmin games and mods I've played on the channel, and everything else as well. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in, I suppose, the final episode of the bonus episode.